Good morning, everybody. Naughty Beaver. You're gonna crap your pants when you see this. I don't know how I ended up on this timeline again, but everything's coming full circle. What have I got to say, and why do you got to listen? I'll play the message, and I'm going to show you why you care, at least. Whether you listen or whether you don't. Last night, yesterday itself, I spent the whole day recording two videos, or one video, 6 hours. Basically, you can see this is an hour and 50 minutes. This is 4 hours and 50 minutes. So one session of work, and all of it, every single ounce of it, had to do with Mars. When I finished the last recording and edited it all day, like literally had to watch it and just understand what I'm telling myself here, right at the very end of a 6 hour special on Mars, of all things in the world, going back to that past life regression session, this comes out at the same time on DNA Awakening. You're gonna die when you see this. Why I say that is because I told you one simple truth here back in time about something. Doesn't mean anything, but it could mean everything. With the great sign in heaven, I clearly stated that I believe there was a window in time that might open up for a certain series of events. It's either basically then or not this year. But I meant it when I said it. And what I had said very specifically is that I saw a window as far ahead in time as May. We just happen to be in May. And here's the message.
We are the Galactic Federation of Lights, and we are connected to you, beloved. Today, in the love and the light of the one Creator today, this transmission has connected with us, and desires to understand the current situation of the Martian planet, which had been previously under the control of the so-called Anunnaki Orions, and the reptilian Grey Allied forces. And before we start our sharing, please keep in mind that you have free will, and only accept those insights that resonate with your heart. All that we are here to offer you truth without proof, so that would be the best for the people who resonate with the message. Mars at the moment is under a stressful situation, as we can tell you, my beloved friends. Inside the Martian planet, the so-called reptilians and the so-called Orions, along with the Anunnakis who are in the so-called fifth density consciousness. We've created bases inside Mars, and we previously had sent a solar flare imbued with love light energies that had scared them, and these entities had agreed to leave Mars by the 7th of May. Within 10 days, however, there has been no movement from inside the Mars base, and we, upon scanning that the reptilians are still inside, and we had sent a so-called interdimensional entity as a means of communicating by sending a message to the reptilians on the Mars planets, at the moment wherein our message stated that if they are not leaving the planet, then the results will be different, and in return we got a so-called message from these entities. We found out that these entities, the so-called Anunnaki, or 1821 collective, is using the so-called invocation, as known in your language terms, a type of magic for summoning the entities known as the Lucifer beings, who previously—
Oh God. It's not over. Who do you think that is? I just told you, it's all alien. But I don't want to argue with Christians on the philosophical end of things. I'm trying to tell you my truth in the way that I can explain something here. My coat of arms is over the head of Satan. This is my family crest, and this is my calling. And I told you it wasn't going away, but I don't know how to explain when it's going to happen. Nostradamus left me a pretty damn good message through the ages that this is my fate and future. Not to let it go. I can't say any more on this subject because I was using the Bible as a reference. But the Bible's timeline after the great sign in heaven, which was written in the stars, and there's much more to this story. I hope we're all here to tell it someday in the future. But I was trying to show people that this is a universal clock. Dates and times and our timelines on the earth are changing every day, but the stars are the stars. I hope people understand this now. Who created the universe if not God? And where else would the message be? A great sign appears in heaven. Now, it was never about me, but it was about understanding what was trying to be said here through the ages. It did not arrive precisely 1,260 days after the great sign. And I'd hope we got past this timeline. Evidently, according to this message, might not be the truth. This is not a fearmonger message, it's a truth message that I want to share for a very specific reason. I am documenting this journey for a very specific reason. It's all linked to Mars, and it's all linked to Earth.
Had been on this galaxy and were the caretakers of the planet Jupiter and Uranus. And now these Anunnakis are invoking and calling upon these entities. These beings known as Lucifer, who are originally in the so-called later phase of the fifth density consciousness.
See, to the Dracos, the god of the Dracos is the dragon, the Alpha Draconians. Everybody in the universe seems to think if something looks like them but it's bigger is God. I can't overstate this and realize that we kind of do the same thing. God must be a giant bearded guy in the clouds. Is that not the truth? To the Urmas, as the Pleiadians said, the cat races, they're giant feline species. To them, they believe God is the cosmic cat. They were trying to use an example. And all through the ages, beings personified bigger versions of themselves as God. Now, why this all matters is because it's all interconnected. Who is Satan, the snake, the serpent, the dragon, if not the god of the reptiles? So who's the god of darkness and the god of the light? Now we got a story. I'm just trying to show you guys a broad overview of these concepts. Not like I have the truth in everything, but I wasn't kidding when I said it's my fate and calling to live and die around this thing. I'll tell you that, whatever it is. For better or for worse, it's not going away.
And hence are more powerful than these beginning phased reptilians. And they have called for assistance from these entities known as Lucifer, who has, as per our information, we have received agreed to assist the so-called Anunnakis and these entities known as Lucifer, who had actually been in another galaxy. Spreading their so-called the negative agenda, are now planning to come back to this galaxy. And also the planet known as Nibiru, which had been put into a different timeline of portal in the year 2012.
Now, here is the problem with this message. And anybody on my channel hopefully has already seen this, but I'm going to explain this to you one more time. Dolores Cannon, long time ago before her death, talking directly with Nostradamus.
Has a question too.
Yes.
Okay, we just have two more questions and then we got to stop. Yeah, go ahead.
Dolores, do you have any information on Planet X?
On what?
Planet X.
Planet X.
Planet X, forget it. I know where the guy got the idea. He had a regression with me and there was never any Planet X mentioned, but he come up with the whole idea. No, the Planet X is supposed to be based on Nibiru by Zechariah Sitchin. And in the Nostradamus books and even in the Jesus books, they saw another planet. It was actually 10 planets in the solar system. One of them had an elliptical orbit. But there never was any mention of disaster. It's just one that comes around every now and then. It doesn't mean...
See, this is important from Nostradamus. There is another planet in the solar system, but it's not the world ender that we were led to believe. Why this is important is what she was talking about. There's people on Earth, there's good souls that channel all the time. They get visions. They're just loving, caring people trying to bring information into the world, but they oftentimes get contaminated with other systems, as Naughty Beaver did as well. As many of the people of the Earth understand, they were roped into Nibiru, and they left the Great Awakening because of it, because they were ashamed. Like, I screwed up and I told these people, I said, lose your bloody pride on this planet. It's not the end of the world. But there's still people to this day that are in a belief system that channel. It's your free will to believe what you want to believe, and the light and the dark play the game when you channel. That's why the Pleiadians are saying it's so unreliable. You don't know who's at the other end. So you could be talking to God in one instance and the devil in the next, and this is exactly what Ra described back at the time of Moses. Divine channeling on one side, and the devil getting in there and putting its 2 cents. There's no other way to explain it. You on the ground have to discern between the light and the dark. What is the light? The truth. The absolute truth. And that's what's been going on this world all this time. This is the very most basic, simplest way I can explain it. So when you read the Bible, many can see the light and the dark within it. What is your truth about God? What do you think God should be? Is your God a God of love, or one who only has compassion on who he's in the mood to have compassion on? Very important to discern. But this is important to bring back up again, that some people might be still contaminated with their beliefs, but still bringing information into the world. I know that's a bit confusing, but I'm bringing this up because I have a full show to do on this subject.
In order to save Earth by our Galactic Federation Council is now under the control of the Lucifer beings. These beings are now planning to bring the so-called Nibiru planets, and they are planning to come to Mars. And these entities also are deciding to provide a severe resistance to our energies.
Okay. Maybe now, this Nostradamus prophecy that I've been sharing for the world for, 4 years? Since the very first day, I created Naughty Beaver, and I told you it was my calling from the first.
Mars, warlike force threatening us.
An invasion, alien force from Mars threatening the human race. You want to know where it comes from? And I'm going to show you how it got here. It's the best I can do to educate the world on the subject. This is what he told me through the ages to understand. Naughty, the Great War is a great war, but it's not what the Bible told you. You have to tell the world, and it's like, okay, so there's aliens out there? Yes. Nothing is quite the way we were told it's going to be, but you have to tell the world for this reason, Naughty.
Bloodshed 70 times.
That's the problem. If an alien invasion comes to Earth, you guys have seen enough Hollywood to understand why. Okay, it's not rocket science. This is impossible. How could this be? So on and so on. But I was doing all of this, explaining the great sign in heaven, just hoping to God that it was all fake, but evidently that might not be the truth. I looked like an idiot for 4 years, and I was doing this with you guys to take the fear out of this for a very specific reason, whether I know it or whether I don't. But from a human perspective, this is the power of knowledge, those that have it versus those that do not. Who's going to go and say, Naughty Beaver or the unawakened masses, should this come to be? But here's the next problem.
Clergy rising, then ruined.
The churches of the earth are finished. Christianity falls.
Churches consecrated the ancient Roman way, rejecting the tottering foundations, sticking to their first human laws, expelling but not altogether the worshipping of saints.
He gave you that prophecy next. Everything is still in line with what he had told me through the ages. The timeline is not what the Bible said. It's been altered. But the key components to all of this is understanding a certain series of events. The final president, the final prophecies, the final pope.
More those two, no care to listen.
And there it is in black and white. Naughty, the world's not going to believe you. Just tell them, this is what I've been doing. So when I did all my research and I shared my journey with you guys over these years, it was about the journey, not about the knowledge per se. It's about learning and understanding. But when you realize at the end this is all just an alien debacle, as a non-Christian, it's not the end of the world. As a Christian, it is the end of the world. It is Armageddon to them. This is what they would witness should it come to be. Now I'm going to explain all of this and how it's possible the best way that I can. If there's a firmament, how can they get to Earth from Mars if we have protectors and so on? Well, this is the problem that I never showed you. If you look at the time that I posted this video, this is March 2020, a year ago. CERN is trying to open a grand portal to bring Cabal ships. I had a vision given to me, and this is what I saw. And over my dead body, I was going to share this with the world, but I posted it on YouTube and they blocked it on me, but I left it to document the vision. This is what's going to happen over CERN. The world is going to witness 3 Ankhs appearing in a triangular formation, and some Egyptian-looking hieroglyphs are going to appear right in the heavens. Just Ankhs. You're going to see them open up over CERN itself. And I told you through Nostradamus what's going to take place. It's instant judgment day for everybody living there. It's the light and the dark, God and the devil on the spot doing battle. So what is CERN doing? It's opening a portal. If CERN opens a portal and Lucifer is on Mars, how do you think he's getting here? If the firmament was created to protect mankind by God itself, and you create a portal inside the earth, you bring Satan, or the gates of hell are open from within the earth itself. This has happened before on planet Earth. This is the sinking of Atlantis. History is about to repeat itself.
Now, as I look back through the ages, know I that wisdom is boundless, ever grown greater throughout the ages, one with infinities greater than all. Light there was in ancient Atlantis. Yes, darkness, too, was hidden in all. Fell from the light into the darkness, some who had risen to heights among men. Proud they became because of their knowledge, proud were they of their place among men. Deep delved they into the forbidden, opened the gateway that led to below. Sought they to gain ever more knowledge, but seeking to bring it up from below. He who descends below must have balance, else he is bound by lack of our light. Opened, they then, by their knowledge, pathways forbidden to man. But, in his temple, all-seeing, the dweller, lay in his Agwanti, which through Atlantis his soul roamed free. Saw he the Atlanteans, by their magic, opening the gateway that would bring to earth a great woe. Fast fled his soul then, back to his body. Up he arose from his Agwanti. Called he the three mighty messengers. Gave the commands that shattered the world. Deep neath earth's crust to the halls of Amenti, swiftly descended. The dweller. Called he then on the powers of the seven lords wielded, changed the earth's balance. Down sank Atlantis beneath the dark waves. Shattered the gateway that had been opened, shattered the doorway that led down below. All of the islands were shattered except Unal, and part of the island of the sons of the dweller. Preserved he them to be the teachers, lights on the path for those to come after, lights for the lesser children of man.
But what I can tell you from my vision is that this is not the evil. This is a divine being literally doing battle on the spot with Satan coming through the Stargate. If I was to explain what I saw, however, everyone in CERN is going to die. Instant Judgment Day. And I've said this before and I didn't want to bring it up again, but if you see it, you have to run for your life. If you live in that nation, bye-bye. This is what I can tell you. You live around that CERN thing or something, you're finished. If you understand, in simple energetic terms, if the light is coming here to fight, divine being, the righteous won't be touched, but anybody in a non-righteous state in that moment is executed. Toast. Finished. That's the great battle of light and dark that I saw. Do you really want to get in the middle of it?
The gods making it appear to humans that they are authoring a great war. Before heaven seen clear sword and lance, that towards the left hand making great affliction.
There's your only warning you're getting from Naughty Beaver, because it's a vision, and I didn't want to share it because I'm sick of my crazy things talking to people, but I believe they all have purpose and meaning, so the time is right. That's all I can tell you. If you live in that region, you have to make the choice. What I saw, this materializes first in the heavens. You will see 3 onks above CERN in a triangular pattern. It's all white. White onks in the sky, that's all I know. These hieroglyphs will begin manifesting all around it. And at first I thought, is this the evil? But I had to do research on what the onk was, and it's more or less representative of Ra. As in the sun god? Yeah, as in the light. So if CERN has opened the gates to hell for Lucifer's arrival, and the sun god Ra fights the black, you guys get the point here with the philosophy? Okay? He's not going to stop to do interviews, is what I'm telling you in the middle of this, so get the hell out of Dodge. This is all I'm telling the world. If it comes to be, you have a warning, and it's like God knows what's going on in the universe. This to me was a power higher than the Palladians watching over the Earth. The Palladians said the CERN is building a Stargate. If the world doesn't want to stop it, you're going to face the wrath. It's hard to believe because nobody knows what it is. Many are up in arms and they do realize it's some sort of a gateway to hell, if you will. If you believe there's a firmament, how could the devil bypass it? Get man to build a bypass to come in here. Oh, man could never be that corrupt. Okay, we're not even going to go there. So I have aliens here telling me that man is building a portal. I have a vision that came from a higher power telling me it's being watched over, I guess. I can't tell you for sure, guys. I can't tell you the light from the dark on this subject. As a very simple man, if men are opening a portal into the earth, I can realize this is the evil. As a very simple man that studied the Ankh and its meaning, understands the spiritual aspect, this is what I can tell you might be watching over it. And I'm not making any promises. It's a god versus a god. And Nostradamus said that was coming too on that subject. So just to prove the point that I had a vision, I recorded it, but I just can't share these things with people. And you'll see, blocked, banished, and we found a copyright. But a vision is a vision is a vision. So that's only the beginning of this video. Understanding what may or may not come to be. I don't know how the hell I got back on this timeline.
Therefore, this is the situation at the moment currently on Mars. Let us tell you there is nothing to worry about. Please remember, don't be afraid, because fear is a negative energy and we do not want your people to be afraid.
This is important. And you naughty, well, you're a fearmonger. I have to tell you my truth. Okay, if I don't say anything, are you going to generate more fear or less fear if you didn't know about it? You guys get the point? You have to be aware of these things. You don't have to believe everything and cower under a desk, but knowledge is power. It truly is. Stop telling me just love and light and be ignorant to the universe while I'm perhaps saving thousands, if not millions of lives around CERN if it comes to be. This is your one and only warning from this channel. If you are in Switzerland or on the border there, get the hell out of Dodge if you see it. But I think you only have seconds. So you're going to see a cloud, something appearing over CERN. I've already described it in the vision when I saw it. I wrote it down the very night I had that vision a year ago. You will see the heavens showing you signs. I'll give you the prophecy from Nostradamus, because I believe it was tied to that prophecy. Right there.
Flee, flee out of Geneva, everyone.
Geneva is Switzerland. This is where CERN is. And that was the very first instinct when I saw this all manifested. You guys got to run for your lives.
Saturn of gold
There's Saturn again.
changing into iron. Repose exterminates all opposition.
Repose, the positive ray, Ra, exterminates all opposition. What is the opposite of the light of the positive ray? The darkness. The light will destroy all that opposes it. So if your soul is not prepared for judgment, then you won't exist. This is the best I can tell you. His prophecy is his prophecy. My vision is my vision. But when I put the two of them together, they sound pretty neck and neck to me. Mortal combat of the gods, if you will, is going to happen over CERN.
The heaven shows signs before it happens.
So the people of Switzerland, this is your warning. Whoever lives around that thing, you will see the craziest crap you have ever seen in your life manifesting above or near CERN. I was there in a field watching it happen with my astral form. That's all I can tell you. So I hear a message like this, I'm keeping this crap quiet, but I will never be able to sleep if I don't tell the world. So if anybody lives in Switzerland that happen to hear this or knows anybody, would you be so polite as to let them know? That's what you're looking for. These are the signs. And you'd be the probably only ones living when it happens. You got to understand what I'm saying. A judgment is not cast over the world until a certain time, if you will. I'm not making any promises, but is your soul in a righteous state for instant judgment day? Most of the world, I'm sure, could argue one side or the other, but is your frequency too low in this world? That's the concept that they're talking about. In a horrible, unrighteous state, you will not survive. instant judgment day.
We just want your people to be aware that everything will be taken care of. However, there is yet some time left to see whether the entities known as Lucifer will come to Mars or not. And if these entities come to Mars, then the battle will be bigger than before. Let us tell that your
The Great War in Heaven, 3.5 years after the Great Sign in Heaven. If there's a fleet in the solar system and beings here for the Ascension, I still believe there's a Great War coming. But there's more to this message.
Your planet is in the beginning phases of the fourth density consciousness.
Here's the problem that I was talking about originally, and the Pleiadians have never really spoken about this, whether I'm just wrong or they don't want to talk about it. We are in the third density. That's planet Earth. The fourth density is the astral realm, and according to the I Am discourses in most of the universe, there is nothing in it whatsoever of the Christ. If I even have to explain that to you, you should really focus on something other than Naughty Beaver. There's nothing with a soul in it. But how do you go from the third density to the fifth density? They're all sequentially ordered in terms of frequency, and Earth is lower than hell, believe it or not. 3D, 4D, 5D. How do we go from 3D to 5D and cross God? We have to go through the gates of hell. So the Earth in and of itself is ascending through the fourth density. We're ascending through hell, but we're not even aware of it at this point in time. This is why I believe many say hold the light. Bring your heart into the light. High frequency, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, love, meditation, prayer, whatever it is, that's our divine protection through the fourth density, because we have no choice but to cross it, if I've not missed the bus on this. Does that begin to make sense? So, in essence, we're in the devil's realm, and this is why I said I believe there's a window in time where the devil can make his move. I don't think he's going to pass it up. Where I got the right to believe that there was a window was right here. Nostradamus leaves dates. I've shown you how I know that he leaves dates. This is the assassination attempt of Pope John Paul II. January, February, March, April, May the 13th, 1981. When I realized that, then I realized that the stars inside this image of the great sign in heaven, they don't mean anything. January, February, March, April, May. See, I can't tell you what year, but I can tell you that it was May. That's as much as I know at the time. But it can be any time between now, never, and the end of days. Here's the prophecies that you need to know.
During the appearance of the bearded star, the three great princes enemies make.
During the appearance of the bearded star. The bearded star is some sort of a comet, a thing. It's going to appear in the heavens for 7 days and 7 nights. The night it disappears, the serpent is put upon the shore. This is the great sign in heaven. That's all I can give the world. If you live in Switzerland and you see some onks appearing over CERN, you're toast. Get out. If you live on planet Earth and you see the bearded star coming for 7 days, on the 7th day, 7th night, the serpent is put upon the shore. This is the only warning the Earth gets whenever it takes place. That's it. There's more than just the serpent coming, though. That's the problem. The three great princes enemies make. They are princes of the higher densities.
Struck from the sky.
So who could strike the devil from the sky? Do we even have to go there? It doesn't matter who's who and what's what, but the light against the dark, that's the personified battle that we would, believe in more or less down on Earth. The Bible would tell you that war breaks out in heaven. Michael and the angels fought against the dragon. They fought back, but they were not strong enough and they lost their place in heaven. It's all going to happen on Mars and over Earth.
Earthly peace trembles.
This is the other key. When that time comes, those that still don't believe me, I'll give you the date because it's inside the picture, but the whole world will know it when it happens. The planet will shake and heave, so to speak.
Tiber floods.
Those are rivers in Italy, near Rome, of course, and this is all going to go back to the Vatican.
Serpent put upon the shore.
That's the arrival of the Luciferian being, if that's the context of everything. This is the knowledge that the Bible would never have. The advanced metaphysics and the understanding of the whole concept. We're crossing, in essence, the devil's domain. But it's not the being that the Bible told you, and I don't care to argue with you. But in essence, this is the great war in heaven, and that's the being getting hurled to the earth. But he said he's not alone. The three great princes hurled to the earth. I see fallen angels. I don't know about you guys. They're not very righteous, but I also see the Vatican. I see the Antichrist figure in and of itself, but I don't see Satan. I see three figures. I see potentially more with these draconians returning as well, but Vatican, 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 Vatican. Satan, don't know what he's getting up to. Terror, whatever. This is what the world is going to be on alert for. This is the best I can give the world if this thing comes to be. So the great princes of the air are hurled into the earth, and obviously this is where the Bible fun begins. They're all whatever the hell they are. But what are they doing with the Vatican and the head of the church? Yeah, that's going to be the downfall of the church. This is the problem that I was trying to point out. Trying to get a timeline originally, one of the things that I was looking for is a series of events. One being the death of the final pope of the earth, Peter of Rome. Peter of Rome, the betrayer of Christianity, is here.
The world is nearing its last period. Saturn again, making late return. The empire passes toward the broad nation. The eye plucked out at Narbonne by a hawk.
Many are seeing it. So the New World Order is kind of the last sign of the age before the end of the world. I've shown you that a million times. But the bearded star.
Not far from Cancer towards the north, the bearded star appears.
That's the key. Guys, look at the century and the quatrain, 6-6. No coincidence. Bearded star in the north towards Cancer. The astronomers would see it, but as far as I understand, the whole world's going to know it. It's supposed to be a great sign in heaven.
Blazes the great star 7 days. Cloud makes 2 suns appear. The big mastiff howls all night. When the great pontiff, his country changes.
Every man, woman, and child on the planet is going to be gawking into the heavens, seeing a thing, a comet, whatever. Something burning up in the atmosphere. This is all I know.
Susa, Siena, Beotia, Eritrea. Rome's great one dies the night it disappears.
So you see the parallels here? Great star blazes, the bearded star, for 7 days and 7 nights, and if we're on the final pope of the earth, the pope is going to die. Something along those lines, and then Satan's put upon the shore. I'm sure they're one and the same. They're tied hand in hand. But he doesn't call it Satan, he calls it the serpent. So we're looking for the timeline of the death of the Pope, and yes, I can't tell you the date or the year or anything. These are the things that I was looking for. It's all tied hand in hand with a nuclear war, apocalypse, so on and so on. Now, without the doom and gloom, that was the story I had given you guys all along. They didn't line up with the Bible, it's just not quite the time yet. But on that subject, when I hear a message like this, I'm listening. Because it fills in the holes quite well. I have a lot more to this message.
Therefore, many of the changes that are happening on the planet at our level of the 5th and 6th density consciousness will not be visible to your visible eyes. However, all these are occurring simultaneously with your timeline. It is much similar to that with your kind calls. Not seeing.
We're moving into a world that has always existed. There is nothing new under the sun. The entire universe has always existed. Every timeline, every possibility to infinity's end has always existed. knowing that our consciousness is just shifting through the universe into a new world that has always existed. So we just have to watch our frequency traveling through the devil's domain. So there's the concept of you better stay righteous. Okay, no masturbation, or you get eternal damnation. But you get the point of raising your frequency. You have to be a light in the darkness, so to speak. That, I believe, is the concept. I believe that many of these beings don't say anything because they don't want to terrify the earth if they truly knew what was taking place. This is the concept, perhaps, of the 144,000 guiding the earth in the background. It's not about converting people to Christianity. It's about keeping people in the light or they're going to fall into darkness. No pressure. But all this ringing ears that's happening around the earth to all the different people, you just wouldn't even know divine protection if you saw it, per se. So just think of what I'm saying. Just divine beings guiding humanity through the darkest bowels of hell. Literally through hell itself. Out the other side, you become more or less these divine beings. And again, I don't have all the answers, but I have perhaps the Beaver's Guide for Dummies to stay into the light.
Some of your people are not able to see in the dark. However, many people use the so-called infrared technologies to see in the dark. In the same manner, there are a lot of events that are occurring at our dimension.
See, if you knew what was crawling around you, you'd probably lose your mind. But the human eye does not decode all light, and this is the example that I gave you guys. Why is it our technology can see things that we can't? If God just made the universe for us, why wouldn't we just see everything? And this is one of those very deep, fundamental questions, and I've said it a million times, your eyes deceive you. They are programmed to receive certain types of light, but not all light in the universe. We're locked inside of a particular frequency. Knowing that, do you really want to know what dwells in the fourth density? And any sane person would say, hell no. Those are our creations of the human mind that were locked into that prison on purpose. They are filtered through frequency into the astral realm. The world would see all of its negative thoughts and creations over all these eons. That's what's trapped inside of there, because you are the creator gods.
Let us be conscious of the healing radiance filling this home. The great need today is the healing of the nations and of individuals. As the individual is given assistance through the outpouring of the electronic energy through the mind and body and filling every cell, so in an expanded degree is the nation treated likewise. The nation is a great body of individuals and of nature's creations. We have the same power, being the individualized presence of God. Then we know I am everywhere present, and when my consciousness takes on this expansion, I know its energy leaps into action everywhere, in the cells of the body of the world as well as in the body of the individual. We must come to know that the active presence of God, all-powerful, is everywhere present, that there is not a single nook nor corner anywhere that the active presence of God is not, that this active presence seizes and binds all human creation and consumes instantly everything of an inharmonious and undesirable nature. With the use of the electronic belt surrounding the individual, he must understand that he can make this an absolutely invincible protection. Through its protection, divine wisdom acts, repelling everything through our conscious action that shall not be taken into the system, and that this omnipresent wisdom and intelligence is always prompting us to refuse acceptance of anything into the system, either through feeling, thought, or food that would in any wise disturb its harmonious activity. The natural activity of the currents of life play everywhere like the play of a searchlight. The outer activity should at all times be an invitation to the receptivity of the currents of life, which are pure cosmic energy and which are ever flowing through the atmosphere of the earth. It is true that where there are conditions too dense for it to penetrate, it goes over or under them, so to speak, and finds its way onward just the same. Every individual since the beginning of this year should come to understand that he is walking and moving constantly within the reach of mighty healing currents. Through the power of Cyclopia, the secret love star, and the rays from the Golden City, currents of healing force of tremendous power are consciously directed through the atmosphere of the earth. These, you will understand, by their very nature being the energy of God in action, are therefore self-sustained. The consciousness in the individual of their presence will enable him to contact these rays at any time. Students who have a feeling of patriotism and who wish to help the nation should take the stand that these healing currents reach not only individuals, but carry into conditions, environment, and official places like an intelligent flame, and are doing a work for the protection and uplift of the children of earth, not heretofore set into such powerful action since the creation of this planet. The more individuals become truly and sincerely conscious of this operation, the more they can become mighty messengers of assistance in this most unusual work. Through the conscious manifestation of the mental forces back of the communist is the sinister influence with which we are dealing in the outer world's activity. Those who wish to be true messengers will meditate upon this idea until they have grasped the full import of it. They will use their conscious effort, knowing that these currents of consuming electronic energy consciously directed through the atmosphere of the earth cannot be interfered with, and that in every sincere conscious effort of the individual in his desire to give his assistance, there will flow a consciousness of this energy that he has not hitherto possessed. Sometimes there are individuals of such a nature that, while wonderfully kind and willing, the sudden consciousness that they need to let go of certain kinds of food or other activity is a sort of shock to them. I would say to these individuals that the divine intelligence within each one will cause them to naturally let go of the things not in accordance with the great presence at every step of the way when it is necessary. In order for an individual to consciously let go of a thing, he must have something that he feels is stronger to which he can anchor. As students become conscious of this, the confidence and strength will come to them to take the step. As I suggested once before, I would consciously, at least once or more a day, stand on the floor and charge the home with this pure electronic energy, and keep it charged, so that God's very presence will keep out of the home food, thought, any kind of presence, and everything that is not in accordance with the desires here. I would suggest that whenever you find someone is coming, you take the consciousness, I am, the pure radiance of divine love enfolding these individuals, and this garment enfolds them when they come and when they leave. When you are conscious of this, you clothe them, and they will wear this garment into the home and out of it, and for them it will be a sustaining power. Those who come into your home are deserving of assistance, and this will enable them to receive the full assistance they desire and you will love to give. No matter how great the knowledge attained, we at no time ever have the right to force either the knowledge or the discipline upon anyone. Only as students apply what they hear and receive can they ever know the reality. When you say, I am, you acknowledge the power that breaks down all barriers and conditions of opposition. This human self is just like a starving lion in the jungle. It will tear anything to get what it wants to eat. In this state, the human consciousness will tear its best friend to pieces to get its own way. In any astral element, there is that human desire element through which, unless one shuts his mind entirely to the astral world, will constantly find himself interrupted in a good decision because he has left that door open to a force far more subtle than is ever found in the outer world. Many think there are good forces in the astral world. I tell you, no good force ever comes from the astral world. Any good force that seems to come from there must come through it, but it makes its own tunnel of light through which it comes. In the first place, what makes the astral world? There is only one place where the undesirable creation can find a home, and that is the next step to the human activity, which is the astral realm. This realm of astral activity has within it all undesirable creation accumulated through the centuries. Therefore, it is easy to see at once that no good comes from any contact with the astral realm. It has nothing in it whatsoever of the Christ. There is as wide a difference between the astral realm of activity and what some call the star astral as there is between light and darkness. However, the so-called star astral is again misunderstood. It is really called star astria. It is really an activity, not a realm, and it is from the fourth sphere. The star astria is a cosmic being whose work it is to consume all possible within the astral realm and to reach individuals whose attention seems to be drawn there. The great being will sooner or later clear the understanding of such individuals and consume their desire for any contact with that unhappy realm. No little children remain in the astral realm. The home of children who leave the earth is in the etheric realm. People who are in the body are in the same sphere when they sleep as the disembodied. There is a sustaining consciousness of the I Am presence, which if one goes forth with it on going to sleep, through the sustaining power one can reach unbelievable heights. If you have the consciousness through the outer expression of this I Am presence and you take this consciousness with you as you go into other realms, it is a sustaining presence that is unbelievable. There is an activity in the experienced life that demands the conscious recognition and use of the I Am presence of God in action. When you take the consciousness with you through the veil of sleep, the soul is able to function out of the body with almost limitless power. Suppose there is a seeming need in the physical activity. Before going to sleep, we can say this: through the mighty power and intelligence which I am, I go forth while my body sleeps, make conscious contact with, and abundantly fulfill this requirement, no matter what it is. Knowing that this activity is self-sustained, it cannot fail in any way. It is a mighty way of setting into motion the I Am presence. Whatever the I Am commands while the body sleeps must be obeyed. I knew of one instance of this kind when there was need of protection. The one using it had a certain consciousness of this presence. The individual was falling over a cliff, and this I Am presence instantly built up a form, caught the individual, and took him back to safety. When one enters the conscious path and goes into any environment where he might be in danger, one should always do some quick, definite work on his protection, for until one raises the body, he is always functioning more or less where he is contacting the outer thought of humanity. If the student be climbing the mountains, he must do conscious protective work. He must do the protective work and do it consciously. If the student will always keep up his conscious protection, he will be able to avoid the destruction of other individuals. Steamship protection. God is the almighty power protecting and directing this steamship. Therefore, it moves in a zone of absolute safety. On the conscious path, you must be up and in action all the time. There are some who might think this is a suggestion of fear, but it is not. It is a recognition of the omnipresent protective power. Autos. God is all-seeing and all-knowing, sees ahead, and will naturally avoid undesirable contact. When you say, God is driving this car, the vision of God goes ahead, sees blocks and miles ahead, and the prompting will come to go to the street which is clear, because God is driving this car. Our path is unobstructed in every way. There are two reasons why students have accidents. First, because they have become angry and opened the door. Second, because the student has lain down on the job. Whenever we do a thing with a positive, dynamic attitude, it gives confidence to the outer, and it cannot fail. To project an electronic belt around another, say, I am the protective belt around. When you say, I am the protective ring or belt, it means that the electronic belt is instantly formed, invincible. Realize that when you say, I am, whatever is commanded is all powerfully, instantly done. You cannot use the I am presence without having instantaneous activity. Often say, I am the omnipresent, all-powerful, protecting intelligence governing this mind and body. It is instantly omnipresent there in action when you say, I am. The I am, which is everywhere present, is at that point doing the work that moment. This is the way you set into action by the most direct means the all-powerful action of the I am, which is all in all. Constantly remind the outer consciousness that when you say, I am, you have set into action all the attributes of the Godhead. You are now at a point when you should have instantaneous activity. When you say, I am, in any condition, it means that instant action is taking place there by the greatest power in the universe. The moment you become conscious that I am is the full activity of God containing all the attributes of the Godhead, you do that moment have the full use of this mighty power. Use often, I am, the presence producing this master home. Get the consciousness of the mighty presence you are calling forth when you are using the I am. I have always loved to specify what I wanted to do. If I want health in my body, I say I am the presence charging this body with pure electronic energy. When you say, I am the ascension of this physical body right now, I am the ascension of this physical body right now, I am the ascension of this physical body right now, then you have accepted and entered into the action right now. When you are striving for the light and unlimited action, you are striving for the greatest thing in the world. Fill your world with the presence which I am, and when you do this, feel you are doing it consciously. If one will take the consciousness, I am the perfect activity of every organ and cell of my body, then it must manifest. You have but to be conscious of this, and it must be. Use often, I am perfect health, now manifest in every organ of my body. Put your confidence in your I am instead of something. Suppose you want great intelligent activity. Say, I am the perfect intelligent activity in this body. You cannot do this looking to something outside. To clear the mind, eyes, and ears, I am the perfect intelligence active in this brain. I am the perfect sight looking through these eyes. I am the perfect hearing through these ears. Go at these treatments with determination, and they cannot fail. You have the reins, now use them. Avoid all use of words that seem to be a reminder of limited conditions. When you are conscious of the I am, you don't care what anyone in this world does. You must not be concerned about anything but your world. For squaring the circle, use the I am activity. Pay no attention to what anyone says. Just say specifically what you want to produce. Say again and again, I am the only presence acting in this. Say, I am the only presence acting in my world. For finding things, I am the intelligence and all-seeing eye which finds this. You will be amazed at the feeling that grows within when you do not have to look to anything but the I am. Wipe out of your mind everything but the conscious operation of the I am, for it is the most potent power possible. Get the sense of ease about producing these seeming miracles. Suppose you want to illumine a room. Say, I am the illumination of this room. Then you act upon the electrons in the room. The illumining of the atmosphere of a room is as easy as raising your hand. Your ability to illumine a room is just as easy as physically illuminating it through the electric lamp. You can just as easily plug into the universal current of electricity as through the wires. To make visible the illumination within your own body, say, I am the visible illumination through this body now. Right within yourself is a focal point. The I am in you created everything in the universe. When you enter into the confidence of the I am, it will soon do away with all obstruction. Use often, I am the consuming power and presence of every bit of fear, doubt, and questioning in my outer activity concerning this invincible activity of the I am. Keep this up, and you will always know instantly what to do. You can take this and use it, and thus remove every obstruction to the I am activity. When you operate consciously, you know positively it is done. The consciousness of an individual clothes the form with the individual's own concepts of it. When these are drawn about an individual who has generated a certain energy, they impose upon him nothing but the things of his own world. Whenever you feel a sudden joy impulse, grasp it, use it, and decree.
Your thoughts are made manifest, every one of them, somewhere. Your thoughts create worlds. So knowing that, if humanity is tortured and tormented and sick and twisted, demented ideas, probably seems wise to lock them up, perhaps, until we get a handle on this divine power, and that's what it was done for. They're separated through frequency into the little... God has a folder, nice, righteous worlds and devil stuff. You don't want to ever open that folder. There's no password on it. Don't go down that rabbit hole. Does that begin to make sense? Ew. Because there are certain things in this world you're better off not knowing, and that's kind of why I really don't go down these rabbit holes.
And we must tell you that there is nothing to worry about till now. However, we will request each entity listening to our message today, using their free will to...
Okay. So here was my question. If we're traveling through this fourth density, how long is it going to take? And if I'm using Bible terms, I would say about 3.5 years. That's how long the devil rules in biblical terms, and that's what I was just beginning to believe is possible. We're in that realm or density or what have you for a time. It just doesn't happen overnight, if you will. Again, I don't have the answers, guys, but I'm just thinking outside the box on these subjects. Yeah, there was nothing to worry about until now, and now is when kind of Nostradamus was saying the problem was coming. So I'm concerned about it.
To at least try and send love and light. And also to allow yourself, each entity knowing has got a divine connection with the higher self. And allow each entity to connect with the higher self. Because your higher self being in the sixth density can help us in this process in the conflict. If it occurs soon, so today we are going to tell you how to connect with the higher self, and for that let us tell you a short example of how this connection with the higher self works.
So I don't want to play any more of that. I'll leave a link if you guys want to check the rest and understand this, because they're going to bring Gosha into this equation. Number one, when I heard this, like everything, I'm always skeptical. And then Planet X or Nibiru come into the wash. I was like, okay, but I realized a lot of people are contaminated by their beliefs. It's like anybody on Earth. You might be giving all this righteous information, but you believe in Santa for some reason. You always bring Santa. You think everything has to do with Santa or something like that, even though all your messages are wonderful. It's just, what's this guy's obsession with Santa? It's just the world that we live in. You get caught down these little rabbit holes, and they're trying to make the pieces fit on what you know, and this is Naughty Beaver in a nutshell. I have the Bible, I have Nostradamus, the bloody Anunnaki came into the equation, everything but the truth. The truth, it's all alien. And that's the truth that'll set this world free at some point. Now, this is the guy that did it, Sam the Illusionist. This is where the knowledge comes from, but I want to show you his message and what he has to say. Just a couple of minutes. Is, I was threatened for revealing negative entities' agenda on Mars. He's like, what the hell? Like, he's just sharing information with the world, but They don't want the world knowing because ignorance is bliss. Is that not the truth?
Hello, my friends. So I greet you in the love and the light of the one Creator. So in today's session, I am asking the Galactic Federation about a certain entity that tried to, scare me, yesterday. So let me tell you the backstory. Yesterday, I actually channeled the Galactic Federation about the Mars situation, and they told us that something big is happening on Mars with the negative entities calling upon even higher negative beings, right? So,
you have to understand the hierarchy of heaven. Earth is 3D. The astral entities are in 4D. The negative of the demon world. There's the positive and the negative timelines. So God has filtered the entire universe through frequency. Earth is neutral more than anything. It's got a little bit of both on Earth, and that's the light and the dark and the balance. In certain densities, it's all negative creations. In other densities, it's all positive creations. So you can just imagine this hierarchy of heaven, all split through frequency. So these reptilians, unfortunately, are cornered between Mars and Earth. Who do you think the meat shields are between heaven and hell here? That would be the human race. But we are the divine, and you need to remember that at all times. And this is the journey that we've been going down together to explain this to people. You are not the lowly meat suit that the universe tells you that you are. You have to remember that. And when you know that and you own that, you have nothing to fear whatsoever. But to own that, you must become fearless. What is God scared of in the universe? Nothing, yeah. So why do you have fear? Because you lack knowledge. If you fear something, it's because you lack knowledge. Is that a fair analogy? So I'm giving you knowledge. It's up to you to walk your own path should certain things come to be. As I said, I don't know what the future holds. But the whole world could go up in flames in an afternoon in these next coming years. So it is, until the end of this crap, the world is unfortunately stuck in a cycle of better live in preparedness 24 hours a day. All the crazy things that are prophesied. So in simple terms, take care of yourself and your loved ones. And as the Palladians said, the dollar will collapse, the US dollar. Buy physical gold and tangible assets. That's what they told to Gosha. Your Bitcoin won't be there. Gold is doomsday money in essence, but for a time, it might serve a purpose. That's more or less what they're documenting. So many people are buying gold and silver because it's a lesser denomination of exchange. They believe it might go up X in value. Gold is doomsday money. The doomsday might be approaching faster than the world thinks, so that's the concept. I'm not spreading the fear, guys. I'm just sharing the message. I knew it was coming. My family crest is on the head of Satan. I know that I'm marked for death. Okay, I don't care how you look at it. Whatever the hell is going on, I know I have to explain it, but I realize it's also some alien debacle. I know there's lots of divine protection on the earth, but in the interim, the world has got to be aware, those at least that are chosen to, about what's going on. I'm not spreading fear, but I want to share these types of messages for people to understand. Because I can't make these promises in this world. I'm not going to be that false guy. I told you guys, you are all dead. If it works out any better, you can call me a false prophet. That was my statement back in time. Yeah, fair enough. You're all dead. However, might be a light side to this. That's my role, and that's the way I keep it. So I'm not making any false promises like the universe is going to save us. The trial by fire of the human race has been prophesied by vast amounts of cultures in many, many different ways. And like all things on Earth, it's been corrupted through the ages, in one form or another, by the reptilians themselves. The universal truth seems to be some sort of trial by fire here. That's what I'll tell you. I don't know how it could just not happen. God changed its mind or something? Oh, never mind. Did this to everybody else in the universe but these humans. Yeah, I have my doubts.
maybe the negative entity did not want me to share this information with you, They do not want me to expose them. And in essence, yesterday I went to the washroom, okay?
Right there, why would these negative entities not want a light warrior to tell the world the truth? Because the Bible told you the great betrayal was coming. If the Vatican betrayed Christianity and never told them about the great sign in heaven, then the great betrayal is going to be a cakewalk to pull off over the earth. Does that begin to make sense? The Christians, for the most part, they're not on high alert. Many are. Most are not. The great sign has come. Let us prepare for Satan. And ding, 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 the bells are ringing. Everybody's stocking up on food, praying, you see. That's not the world that we live in, is it? No, it is not. On that note, if the world is inevitably on high alert, they're going to see these figures coming. This is the key. They didn't know they were coming. They didn't know when they would get here. I do. I have the best guide in the world, and it's right there. This is the universal truth from Nostradamus. This is the best the world is going to get. That is the great sign in heaven. There's no other. The world's greatest seer. Knowing that subject, this is the other key that I have to share with you guys tonight. This is the child of Revelation 12. There's the code within it. The Bible told you there would be a great sign in heaven. The Bible told you that the woman gave birth to a son, a male child who would rule all the nations with an iron scepter. Is that or is that not what Christianity was told was the future? I have never changed a word of it. The Bible also tells you that's going to be the king of the earth. He will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. This is the Nostradamus manuscript stamped with the Vatican's markings itself. Somebody within the church put it back into the public back in the 1990s, and somehow, someway, all of this found its way to Naughty Beaver in the future. Somebody on Earth has moved heaven and earth to make fake images of all of us. And the only person on Earth I could bring it right back to finger is the guy that was in the book that knew he'd get caught. So is the Vatican that had the most to lose out of this manuscript? Yes, it does. Because who do you think the Vatican is going to make as king of the earth here? Who do you think they're going to try? Why I have the authority to say this is because this is my calling. And day by day, so much is falling into position. I didn't change anything. I showed you that the Bible said that God chose the king of the earth. I gave you the images from Nostradamus and all the story of the dragon in the endgame. But here's the missing piece that I didn't want to talk about. And it is very simple, and it is the only time it was right to me to talk about it. I've been flashing it in some of my other videos, but I don't know how much you guys have gotten to see or how much has been ripped down. I showed you where I believe this child would appear and who and so on and so on. But this is the part that I just didn't want to go over. This is right here. There are two kings of the earth. This is what I see in this imagery. And there's one of the kings. Look to the unicorn, Naughty. There are two kings of the earth. If the world doesn't know what they're looking for or what they're doing, they might follow the wrong one. What if they both showed up at the same time, is my question. What if one comes before the other as per the Bible? If that's the case, then no matter what this world sees, no matter what it looks like, how it presents itself, it cannot be the king. See, the Antichrist is a wild stallion, if you will. Look at the figure here that you see. Very wild. What do you notice about this second one? Very noble, very humble, and the key to all of it was right here. Look to the sign of the sun, Naughty. I gave you guys a sign from heaven. Believe it, don't care. This is the best I can do for the world. You can take my knowledge or leave it. The Bible told you who the king was. It wasn't Jesus. But knowing all of that, the Antichrist itself, this is the figure that I was out on high alert for, and it's going to come through the Vatican, if nothing has changed. So if you think about it, in my opinion, because this is not the original manuscript, there's always somebody editing the damn images, so I don't have the originals or the book. But when I saw this, and somebody obviously put it together on purpose, as they realize there's two kings here, what do you think in your mind the other king might get up to? Okay, that's the world should have a pretty good understanding. But I'm going to fill in a piece of the puzzle that I don't think anybody on Earth would have. It's another vision. I got this well, I'll give you the date that I recorded it. I have a video right here. February the 8th, 2021. So I had the vision a little bit before that. What's the vision? It's a temple. It's the third temple. It manifests in Jerusalem. And this is all I can really show you on the subject. It manifests on the spot. I was brought there to see it like in the astral form. I saw right over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The Temple Mount itself is where this temple is going to manifest. But the thing is huge. The whole temple is literally like... I don't even want to talk about it because I don't know who's going to be in the temple. But imagine Jerusalem itself manifesting a 64 square kilometer platform, and the third temple rises up out of it in the middle. Oh, overnight, on the spot. All the houses are gone. All of this is flattened. All this is gone. This moss and domes. All of it is turned into one giant platform of stone, yellow stone, and in the middle, the third temple manifests itself. It's exactly like this. It's exactly like this. That was the vision that I saw, but I didn't get to see who owns it. And that's all I can tell you about the future. So, would God make this for the chosen king of the earth? Or would this being manifested for itself, is my question.
I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite creator. We communicate now. Question 16.1. Questioner, I would like to ask, considering the free will distortion of the law of one, how come the guardians quarantine the earth? Is this quarantine within free will? Answer, I am Ra. The guardians guard the free will distortion of the mind, body, spirit complexes of third density on this planetary sphere. The events which required activation of quarantine were interfering with the free will distortion of mind, body, spirit complexes. Question 16.2. Questioner, I may be wrong, but it seems to me that it would be the free will of, say, the Orion group, to interfere. How is this balanced with the information which you just gave? Answer, I am Ra. The balancing is from dimension to dimension. The attempts of the so-called crusaders to interfere with free will are acceptable upon the dimension of their understanding. However, the mind, body, spirit complexes of this dimension you call third form a dimension of free will which is not able to, shall we say, recognize in full, the distortions towards manipulation. Thus, in order to balance the dimensional variances in vibration, a quarantine, this being a balancing situation whereby the free will of the Orion group is not stopped but given a challenge. Meanwhile, the third group is not hindered from free choice. Question 16.3. Questioner, could these windows that occur to let the Orion group come through once in a while have anything to do with this free will balancing? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 16.4. Questioner, could you tell me how that works? Answer, I am Ra. The closest analogy would be a random number generator within certain limits. Question 16.5. Questioner, what is the source of this random number generator? Is it created by the guardians to balance their guarding? Or is it a source other than the guardians? Answer, I am Ra. All sources are one. However, we understand your query. The window phenomenon is another self-phenomenon from the guardians. It operates from the dimensions beyond space-time and what you may call the area of intelligent energy. Like your cycles, such balancing, such rhythms are as a clock striking. In the case of the windows, no entities have the clock. Therefore, it seems random. It is not random in the dimension which produces this balance. That is why we stated the analogy was within certain limits. Question 16.6. Questioner, then this window balancing prevents the guardians from reducing their positive polarization by totally eliminating the Orion contact through shielding. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is partially correct. In effect, the balancing allows an equal amount of positive and negative influx, this balanced by the mind, body, spirit distortions of the social complex. Thus in your particular planetary sphere, less negative, as you would call it, information or stimulus is necessary then positive due to the somewhat negative orientation of your social complex distortion. Question 16.7. Questioner, in this way, total free will is balanced so that individuals may have an equal opportunity to choose service to others or service to self. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 16.8. Questioner, this is a profound revelation, I believe, in the law of free will. Thank you. This is a minor question further to make an example of this principle, but if the Confederation landed on Earth, they would be taken as gods, breaking the law of free will and thus reducing their polarization of service to all. I assume that the same thing would happen if the Orion group landed.
In this verse, life is antagonistic to the natural state. Here, humans in all their various races are a spontaneous outbreak, an unguided mistake. Our purpose is to correct that mistake, because there is another verse, a verse where life is welcomed and cherished, a ravishing, ever new place called Underverse.
How would this affect their polarization of service to self if they were able to land and became known as gods? Answer, I am Ra. In the event of mass landing of the Orion group, the effect of polarization would be strongly toward an increase in the service to self, precisely the opposite of the former opportunity which you mentioned. Question 16.9. Questioner, if the Orion group was able to land, would this increase their polarization? What I am trying to get at is it better for them to work behind the scenes to get recruits, shall we say, from our planet, the person from our planet going strictly on his own using free will, or is it just as good for the Orion group to land on our planet and demonstrate remarkable powers and get people like that? Answer, I am Ra. This first instance is, in the long run, shall we put it, more salubrious for the Orion group in that it does not infringe upon the law of one by landing and, thus, does its work through those of this planet. In the second circumstance, a mass landing would create a loss of polarization due to the infringement upon the free will of the planet. However, it would be a gamble. If the planet were then conquered and became part of the Empire, the free will would then be re-established. This is restrained in action due to the desire of the Orion group to progress towards the one creator. This desire to progress inhibits the group from breaking the law of confusion. Question 16.10. Questioner, you mentioned the word empire in relation to the Orion group. I have thought for some time that the movie Star Wars was somehow an allegory for what is actually happening. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct in the same way that a simple children's story is an allegory for physical, philosophical, social complex distortion understanding. Question 16.11. Questioner, is there a harvest of entities oriented towards service to self like there is a harvest of those oriented towards service to others? Answer, I am Ra. There is one harvest. Those able to enter fourth density through vibrational complex levels may choose the manner of their further seeking of the one creator. Question 16.12. Questioner, then as we enter the fourth density there will be a split, shall we say, and part of the individuals who go into the fourth density will go into planets or places where there is service to others and part will go into places where there is service to self. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 16.13. Questioner, can you tell me the origin of the 10 Commandments? Answer, I am Ra. The origin of these commandments follows the law of negative entities impressing information upon positively oriented mind, body, spirit complexes. The information attempted to copy or ape positivity while retaining negative characteristics. Question 16.14. Questioner, was this done by the Orion group? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 16.15. Questioner, what was their purpose in doing this? Answer, I am Ra. The purpose of the Orion Group, as mentioned before, is conquest and enslavement. This is done by finding and establishing an elite and causing others to serve the elite through various devices such as the laws you mentioned and others given by this entity. Question 16.16. Questioner, was the recipient of the commandments positively or negatively oriented? Answer, I am Ra. The recipient was one of extreme positivity, thus accounting for some of the pseudo-positive characteristics of the information received. As with contacts which are not successful, this entity, vibratory complex, Mish, did not remain a credible influence among those who had first heard the philosophy of one, and this entity was removed from this third density vibratory level in a lessened or saddened state, having lost, what you may call, the honor and faith with which he had begun the conceptualization of the law of one and the freeing of those who were of his tribes, as they were called at that time-space. Question 16.17. Questioner, if this entity was positively oriented, how was the Orion Group able to contact him? Answer, I am Ra. This was an intensive, shall we say, battleground between positively oriented forces of Confederation origin and negatively oriented sources. The one called Mish was open to impression and received the law of one in its most simple form. However, the information became negatively oriented due to his people's pressure to do specific physical things in the third density planes. This left the entity open for the type of information and philosophy of a self-service nature. Question 16.18. Questioner, it would be wholly unlike an entity fully aware of the knowledge of the law of one to ever say, thou shalt not. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct.
That's the question that I'm going to leave you with. This is as far as I can guide the world. It's not for me to tell you. You gotta choose your own path here if it comes to be. Do you guys perhaps understand the value of my work? I told you where this child would appear. Knowing that is he doesn't need any temples. He'll be crowned in heaven. This is the wisdom that I offer, should he come to be. There's the Eagle of Rome. This is their plan. This is the Vatican. This is, if any of this is going to take place, it's all interconnected to the Vatican, so God only knows what would happen here. But that's the best I can tell the world. So then you got what might look like Jesus coming out of the heavens with the angels. Yeah, I don't think so. The child of Revelation 12 is the king of the earth. Anything else you see, in my opinion, is a mirage, an illusion, and a deception. And to me, all of it is happening in the biblical timeline. Great sign, great warp. So that's the best I can do. Maybe this channeling is nothing. Maybe it's everything. Maybe there's certain things that we're not being told on this planet, so I follow my heart and my calling. And this is all I can give you. So if you see a bearded star, you have 7 days to grab all the food, water, whatever you can with the wealth that you have in this world, should it come to be. When you think of divine terms, it might just manifest itself right on the spot as a warning from on high to get down, if you will. It's not like we'd be looking for this thing coming for 20 years in the heavens. It might literally just appear as your great star in heaven, like your great warning, your great sign, get down. If that begins to make sense, it's the divine manifestation. It just pops up in the heavens, I told you. But everybody says, well, it's different from the Bible. Your great son in heaven is going to come for 7 days. You can take it or leave it. If that thing comes and people want to argue with me when it shows up, you see, you're not going to win this battle. This is the best I can offer the world. The problem is the world might see it, and they're all going to stare at it, and only a handful of people on Earth is even going to know what it means. They might come to this video in time, but maybe they're not meant to see it. Now, the biggest problem on top of all of that was this.
A great kingdom left desolate, near to the Hebrew assembling.
This is the key. A great kingdom left desolate, near to the Hebrew, or the Jewish people, assembling. They're going to assemble. the whole nation for some reason. Now, I haven't looked with my own eyes, but you guys, I guess, have been telling me that Messiah or something has showed up in Israel. You guys might have to educate me on that. I haven't had time to look, nor do I want to. Why? Well, I know who the Savior is. Who are they assembling to? I don't know. I do know, but it's Saturn. There's the white sun and there's the black sun. The black sun is Saturn. The white sun is the white sun. So what we're going to witness on this earth might not be as real as you think it is. This is the secret that I might try and share with you guys here tonight. If this temple can manifest out of nowhere, it can disappear into nothingness just as quick. That's all I can tell you. The big final challenge, I can only advise you when it happens, but the world might not have power, so I can't interfere. Maybe the child of Revelation 12 is the devil. I'm not even going to go down that path because I was shown all this, but you guys get my point. It's not for me to tell you what to believe or what to think, should it come to be. But the Jewish people, the faith is what I believe, is something is going to cause them to assemble, but the Vatican goes underground at the same time. That should be a biblical sign.
The Pyrenees mountains comfort him.
I just found out through the universe inside you the answer to that riddle.
In 1960, a think tank called Brookings Institution came out with a special report in which they had gone in and investigated the question of disclosure and the widespread revealing of the existence of intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations visiting the Earth. Based on certain classic memes, such as the infamous 1939 War of the Worlds radio broadcast hosted by Orson Welles, in which allegedly people thought they were being invaded by Martians. People started stuffing wet towels up their chimney, they started freaking out, believing the world was over. This and other events made the Brookings Institution conclude that they could not tell us the truth because it would be a fatal blow against the stability of civilization as we know it.
Rumors that there was a close encounter with aliens at Holloman Air Force Base have been swirling since at least the 1970s. There is even a supposed film of the flying saucer landing.
There was an alleged contact between extraterrestrials and the U.S. military-industrial complex that took place at the Holloman Air Force Base. This appears to be one of several such contacts, but what is interesting about this one in particular is that these groups of extraterrestrials seem to have a very elaborate headdress that was on, as well as unusual faces that were kind of very small and tapered with a pronounced nasal feature. These extraterrestrials, like many of the others, did apparently want peace. They were trying to negotiate some sort of positive settlement for Earth's problems, but as is the case, they want disarmament of nuclear weapons. They want the truth to be told to the people, and the military-industrial complex and the government officials just laughed in their faces.
I'm curious about your meeting with Eisenhower. Can I start with questions, please? Go ahead. Thanks. How was the meeting organized? How was the first contact with members of the US government? The Federation from here, from the High Council, has sent the message to President Eisenhower via imposition of radio frequencies breaking into the Pentagon that was then new in 1947. It was the only way for our contact to be taken as true. You have to keep in mind that back then there was not as much disinformation and pranks as there is now. As a representative of the Federation and with English proficiency, I was proposed as the contact. The first contact was made at the Edwards base in California on February 18, 1954. No Hollow Man, Edwards AFB. The reason is that this base has a very large extension of tracks on a large plane. It was later used as an emergency runway for the space shuttle and was far from the public eyes. But we came here as a team in 1952, and from there, some of us, to 1937. Ike Eisenhower was urged to take the strictest security measures to avoid a mishap between our two races if there was an attack on us. Even so, we were heavily armed and in high-tech suits that absorb impacts of kinetic weapons and energy. Ike accepted. On February 18, 1954, first landed the presidential plane. It was not yet a Lockheed Constellation Tetra engine, but a smaller twin-engine Lockheed Electra similar to the one used by Amelia Earhart on her fateful journey. The Electra landed at the end of the furthest runway, and there it remained without anyone leaving. We, from above, in invisible stealth mode, were observing everything from about 300 feet high, AGL, above ground level altitude, contrary to mean sea level or MSL. There was only one jeep in sight, with military personnel with rifles, and we asked Ike to radio him away. We also asked him to turn off the radars that were still operating at that moment. They complied. We proceeded to go down and allow them to see our 22-meter Class 3 discoidal ship that we proceeded to land in front of the nose of Ike's Electra. We opened the ramp and the Electra did the same. Ike went down the ramp dressed military in his sand-colored suit with a hat and emblems. I did the same, dressed only in a bluish-gray one-piece suit. They could see that I was not armed. I could not see the same in Ike, but our instrumentation indicated that he was. We arrived about 2 meters from each other and we stopped there. I introduced myself as Rachel of Temer of the High Council and as the person with whom he had been speaking. Ike, very correct in his role as head of state, showed no courtesy to me. He just said, "Cut the crap and tell me what you want." I proposed to him that Taygeta could give him energy and free reactors, as well as electric transmission for all, in exchange for total nuclear disarmament. He just observed me. I insisted that ionizing nuclear power would only bring problems to humanity, and that there were better energy options that we were willing to give them for free in exchange for disarmament. Ike interrupted me strongly and said that he would not, because the Russians would have a high hand against the United States. I insisted that the Russians should also give up all their weapons and technology. Ike just kept interrupting me, insisting that it was just a communist ploy to disarm the United States. I assured him that it was not the case. He did not listen to me and said loudly that the meeting was over. He did some kind of oriental reverence, I don't know its name, lowering his head momentarily. He turned around and entered his plane. I boarded my ship and retreated. End of first meeting. Rachel, thank you very much for sharing. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. When he saw you, what face did he have? Was he surprised to see a young girl of Earth appearance? Yes, I know that had to do with his attitude. And that also caused conflict during the following night contact between February 20th and 21st. Maybe a Taigetan man had to come out with armor and armed. In hindsight, that should have been the case. We've thought about it before, and not only thought about it, it is already in the records that it should have happened that way. Humans like to be impressed. But you have to keep in mind that if today it is difficult to find someone here who speaks English, on that day it was even more difficult. We understand that Ike gave as an excuse to see us going to see his dentist. I don't have more details about that. Upon arriving at our ship, we immediately discussed what happened and insisted on talking to Ike on the radio for a new interview. We had to threaten him practically. We told him that if he did not listen to us, we would only go with the Russians. On the night of February 20th, in the same place, Edwards Base, the second encounter with him took place, and in the same manner. Only that for some reason there were more military personnel in the radar installations and in jeep vehicles on the ground. Our sensors indicated that they were unarmed. Once again he came out, much faster this time, trusting more, I suppose. I greeted him the way it is done here, like what you do as a stop sign. Once again I offered him the same as the day before. Ike just replied that there was nothing I could offer him that they did not have. And he accused me of not being extraterrestrial, but of being a Nazi, because I had been recognized in photos of Germany of the 30s and 40s of the Vril Society, and that I, with my companions, were a Nazi girls hiding in Antarctica. Once more, he just turned around and returned to his plane. I did not see him again.
When we start getting into the upper, highest level echelon of the cover-up of the UFO phenomenon, I still feel that I need to be careful and researchers need to be careful. Who's the actual person at the top of it? Is it David Rockefeller? Is it some member of the Rothschild family? Is it some member that we don't know about within the deep black budget community? Or is it the aliens themselves in one form or another? I guess we can ask ourselves, what is the likelihood that the non-human intelligences that are behind the UFO phenomenon are managing the cover-up to some extent? I think we could say a few things. One, we can say they do not have an interest in being out there, in being publicly acknowledged. They do operate by stealth. I think they've always operated by stealth. So they have an interest in maintaining a cover of secrecy. Toward that end, if I were tasked with doing counterintelligence on the cover-up, I would have to consider the likelihood that they themselves have some role to play in the secrecy. There is a story about a famous murdered remote viewer by the name of Pat Price. Back in the 1970s, Pat Price was possibly the best remote viewer the United States ever had. He was an off-the-charts remote viewer. He was that good. He had one of the rare abilities to read alphanumeric information. That is, in other words, he could read documents and file cabinets and things like this. He was extremely, extremely proficient. On one occasion, he did, on his own, he said, some remote viewing work on where alien bases were here on planet Earth. He strolled into the office in the mid-70s of Hal Puthoff, who was running the program, and said, "Oh yes, by the way, I thought I would just on my spare time look to see where the alien bases were." This is true, he said this, and he identified several. They were all basically in mountain areas. So one was in the Pyrenees.
A great kingdom left desolate, near to the Hebron assembling. The Pyrenees mountains comfort him. Earthquakes in May. The field of the Vestal Virgin's temple, not distant from Elne and the mountainous Pyrenees. Evil within the great conduit hidden. Rivers freezing, rotting vines, north written.
One was in Mount Hayes, Alaska. And he said regarding that base, the Mount Hayes, Alaska base, he said that has political protection in the United States government. He said they have their people in the U.S. government who are making sure that no one pries in on that base. That particular base, the way Pat Price described it, was somewhat similar to how you might look at the base in the Hollywood movie Men in Black, you know, the huge alien depot where all the different races go, and humans as well. Not quite, I don't think he described it with quite the humor that you'd get in the movie, but in other words, a big transit point.
Very simply put, the Pyrenees Mountains is an alien base. One of the remote viewers of America 50 years ago remote viewed it and realized what it was. So the Pope is going to go underground into an alien base while the Jewish people assemble to Saturn.
Earthquakes in May.
And there was that other problem. It's May. That's the sign of the dragon. The 5th month, May. So this disturbing channeling comes through when I was just hoping that all of this was a bad dream. But if it doesn't happen this year, it could be next year, or the year after, or the very last year of the tribulation. You see, the devil gets to play its hand. That's all I know on the subject. The Pope doesn't look like he's ready to die or go underground just yet. That's all I can say on the subject. There's a series of events that would take place. That's as far down that rabbit hole as I can take the world. I don't want to talk about these subjects because I don't want to believe that they're real, but I can't bite my tongue.
And at night time, at 11, on the window, there was an image of a black figure. Now this image can be considered similar to the in Harry Potter there is this entity, right, known as the Dementors or something like that. They have black kind of wavy who suck the soul of people. The same kind.
You see these types of archons, like the Angel of Death, you know, with the scythe, with the black wavy cloak on top of it. But listen to his details here, okay? This is important.
Kind of entity, but with red eyes, okay? It looked almost similar. And I immediately, left the washroom. I closed the door and then I called my mom. And then I, did the love light protection on me, which I will explain after the session. And so today's session is about that. Galactic Federation explains who it was and how can I protect in the future. And not only that, you can also use this technique to protect against any of the entities, negative entities who try to visit you, okay? So you can.
So if we're crossing through the gates of hell, and righteous people that go to church and pray are divinely protected and they believe that they are, keep it that way in your mind. I told you, I'm not here to change your beliefs. If you have this power with God and Jesus, keep it. The problem is a bloody alien invasion might change your mind. Okay? This is all I can tell in loving, tender terms to the religious world. Your faith does protect you in more ways than you can fathom, but it's a belief that is more important than the faith in an understanding of why things are the way that they are. But knowing that without confusing people, if you have a plan in your mind for this, keep it that way. I will leave a link to this video. However, I'm going to go back to Cosmic Agency. 11,000 people have seen and perhaps heard, so YouTube tells you, like all of our videos. It's got like 20 likes, 1.1K. They're all locked down. They're only allowed to go the first day, and that's as much as the world was allowed to see. What have they got to hide? Well, here's the title. Space Mine Bombs. There are space mines around the Earth, yes. Shadow people. Timelines. What do you think this guy just described to as shadow people? Yeah, would you like to know perhaps how to combat these things? She only brought it up for a brief moment. It is very relevant knowledge to the world. So if you imagine that we're traveling through the gates of hell, just per se here, for 3.5 years, let's say that's what our journey is to heaven. In that time, all through that time, it's important to keep your frequency in a high state. Do the things you love. Paint, clean the house, make a garden, so on and so. That's high frequency activity, something that you love that generates great thoughts. Exercise, bodybuilding, anything you want to do in this world, and now is the time to do it, apparently, since the world is still locked down. But you get the point. Strengthen the mind, strengthen the body. Stay in a righteous state. I warned the world a long time ago about alcohol, cigarettes, drugs. It'll take you down. I'm so lucky in my life to have cleaned it up at just the right time and not by accident. That was a journey I was sharing with many others, and they said the same thing. They're glad that they quit such and such and such. It will take you down. In a negative state, with alcohol, it lowers your frequency. You are going to be the one these things are going to go for. As the human race wakes up and comes into the light, those that refuse to wake up or live in the negative state, they're going to be fought over by more and more and more demons and entities because they won't be able to go to the next guy to feed. As you come into the light, you are divinely protected. Those that refuse to awaken or change their life are going to be targeted by not one demon, not two, not three, but 10 or 1,000. You're their last lunch source. This is the most polite way I can put it to the world. So raise your frequency and keep it high at all times, or become lunch to more and more beings by the day. So it's musical chairs. If there are 7 billion people on Earth, for example, and 7 billion archons that we all created, or 20 billion, and 3.5 billion people come into the light, the other 3.5 billion are lunch for all the rest because they have to siphon life energy off anything they can in the universe so they perish. If the whole world comes into the light, the darkness ends forever. Yeah, you're getting this story. The problem is religions thought we had to kill each other to do that, which lowered the frequency of the whole planet. Fighting and arguing over politics, religion, sex, anything is lowering your frequency. So now is the time in human history to let it the F go. Okay? Don't worry about what the other religions are getting up to for the end of time because they won't be here. On that note, I hope I can explain this simple enough. Raise your frequency. Arguing, fighting, hatred, violence, all the addictions of the world lower your frequency. Do it in the complete opposite. You'll be just fine. Those in this world that want to continue down the path of holy war are going to find themselves getting attacked like they've never seen in their life. It was my polite and friendly warning. Whoever your favorite deity is, I suggest that you spend your time talking to each other and not worrying about what the other guy is getting up to. That's all I can tell you. Doesn't matter how you raise your frequency, raise your frequency. Study, study, study. If it's great on your life, if it's loving like your family and your children, that's the things you focus on in this world. That raises your frequency. Bad relationships, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, anything on the negative side of things is lowering your frequency. It doesn't mean you will die. The lower you go down the totem pole, the more you're going to become a lunch. It's your life, your soul, your journey, your choice. I only offer wisdom.
Hello everybody, I'm Gosia from Cosmic Agency, and today I have several subjects with you to share. The first one will be the shadow beings. The shadow beings, yes, not a very pleasant topic, but I have some little information about them, so I'm going to share that. And later on, talking about not such pleasant topics, I will mention what I think are toplet bombs that I think Cobra talks about. Supposed, or I say supposed because I don't know for sure, Pleiadian contactee. So I will mention that because people have asked me about that as well. And then I will mention briefly the the importance of aligning yourself with the inner power to manifest a certain timeline, a positive timeline. And I will mention briefly about the negative timelines versus positive timelines and how it relates. And
do you guys remember me at the beginning saying, how the hell did I get back on this timeline? That's the joke of it all. Hey, what the hell? Thought we destroyed the devil here. Why I say that is because when I give you this story, I'd love to believe it's just a story, I also try to look in the other direction. Well, how are we going to stop this? Well, a divine being is going to destroy CERN, and the Federation is going to do this. Do it in your mind. You can manifest an alternate timeline because all timelines in the universe exist. The sky is the limit. What timeline do we want to be on, and what timeline do we want to avoid? We have to manifest a way where CERN is destroyed, in my opinion. I gave you what I saw in a vision. Divine being is going to intercept it, I hope. This is what I believe because I had the vision. The world thinks I'm crazy. They don't want to believe with me, but I'm sure they're probably looking for miracles here in a future time. I believe that a divine being is going to intercept that plan, above and beyond the Palladians, because that's not their symbol. The Ankh does represent a positive to them, and they were talking about the Ankh with Gosha. That's all I know. On that note, I can't start a movement to destroy CERN, and most of the planet doesn't believe me anyway, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's the idea of this frequency and timeline shifting. I literally recorded a 6-hour video on Mars, and the very last second I finished it, oh, by the way, Satan's coming through Mars. The last thing in the universe I wanted to hear. Because it proves everything that I was saying. The devil is not what you thought, number one. Number two, it's an alien invasion from Mars. Number three, it's coming through CERN. Nostradamus was right, and the Bible is basically, in essence, corrupted to the core. At the head of it all is the Vatican, and it's all an alien debacle. That's the best I can show the world. If humans have a Jesus figure as their highest form, the Christ consciousness, that's to them their God. That's the concept. That's the highest light. To these negatives, their concept of the highest light is the dragon of Revelation. It's the best way I can put it. This is what they believe. This is this being, because the Bible clearly states that great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan. There's your story. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. Nobody wants to believe me yet. Maybe they will in time, but this is the story. I gave you the most expanded view possible in the universe that I could give you. I can't go down any more rabbit holes or show it in any other fashion, but what I said from Nostradamus, where does an alien invasion fit in all this? It doesn't. It never did, but it's the truth. So is Satan some sort of an alien or whatever, that we have the power to defeat this thing? Yes, we do. Contrary to what the Bible made you believe. You are not powerless. You are the divine.
About catastrophic predictions that you might be seeing here and there. So that's going to be that. And then at the very, very end...
See? Poking at naughty Beaver. Contrary to the catastrophic predictions, that Satan's kind of the problem I've been working on here. Now, this does not come from Gosha or her source, but I'm bringing knowledge together from various sources because there's a common denominator.
And I will share with you several photos, which are not really photos, they are images taken from the internet that Dor Kalel, our Tibetan pilot, shared with us when we were talking about what it's like on the ship. And they are quite similar, according to him, to what the ship is like inside. So that's going to be in the end. Okay, so let's go to the beginning. The shadow beings. Yes. One of our friends recently has shared an experience of seeing those shadow beings. They look like people basically, but they are just shadows of the people. And it happened at night, and that person was very scared. So we had a conversation about that with Svaru. It was some time back, a few months ago. And
Question 1. Is a shadow being real? It is if you believe it is. If you didn't know what they were and it appeared while you're on the toilet, it'll scare the shit out of you literally, wouldn't it? But if you're aware of what they are, let me ask you a question. Why in the universe would somebody project a shadow being into the Earth? And the answer is to terrify people. What happens when people get terrified? They generate loose energy. Oh, so somebody projects these shadow beings into the Earth to terrify people to grab a little bite to eat. If you don't mind sharing your energy and feeding the demon that's oppressing us, have at it. If you find that perhaps it's time to cut off the food source to the devil, let's get righteous here, people, and let's get knowledge. This is why I do what I do. So it's not a real thing, it's a projection. And if they feed on loose energy, and that's fear, we must become fearless. You got it. That's it, pretty much.
And this is what she said about the subject. They are definitely real. The 4D, the astral level is very real. As she told us many times, it's a whole zoo out there in the astral realm.
See? They avoided this subject, I think, with Gosha, just because of the fear factor of it all. I spent my life in research. I used the I Am Discourses of Saint Germain, which I told you guys to read and understand. He's an ascended master. He's a Jesus walking the earth. There's no two ways about it. He's always existed on the earth. He's eternal. When he fully described it, it wasn't so scary to me, and he explained what it was. So your mind creates these things. If they're not part of this world, if they are not of the Christ, God picks it up, puts it in a little box because God loves creation. God loves all creation, one way or another. Whether you agree or disagree, it's creation. God will put it over here in a little box. Okay, we're going to just put that aside and burn that up in the future. Knowing that, those creations come to haunt us from time to time. It's part of the experience of the earth. Your dreams can literally overtake you in this world. Your fears, the more you feed them, the more they dominate your life. If you're scared of the dragon, I'll bet you many people have vast sums of nightmares of this dragon coming to get them. Many Christians are generally the ones that see the devil. Why is it they have a fear of the devil? I don't see the devil. I don't have fear of these things per se, but that's what I'll try and tell people on the subject. You manifest your fears. Now, many, they have these dreams and visions, and they share them with other Christians and terrify the other Christians, but what you're doing is projecting your fears onto others. I don't see the devil. Does that make me a Satanist or a much more powerful being? If you see the devil, you'll have a fear and you manifest it in your dreams. So you need to conquer your fear of the devil. That's what your message was, not mine. That's the concept of it all. It seems real, but in this world, it's always been the problem. People projecting their fears onto others, per se. I saw the devil, repent, and that's what would happen over the flock, and everybody's getting scared, and they all start seeing the devil. Then they think that guy cursed them, and they burn him at the stake. I'm sure this has been going on this planet. From a psychological perspective, you are projecting your fears onto others, if that begins to make sense. Now, are my visions fears or something? I have no fear of my visions. I'm quite eternally grateful of them. Thank you for the advanced knowledge of the temple and the CERN and all of that. I don't know what it means, but it's not a fear. It's a heads up. Something you should know about this temple in Israel, not, okay, but I can't tell you if it's good or bad. It depends who's sitting in the middle of it. It's not for me to say.
And some of these shadow beings can be actually even sent from the cabal and from the regressive races to scare you and to, they feed on your fear. And
there it is. So when they see people in this world that have fears, they know your thoughts. If they're looking for a quick meal, or they're trying to scare off awakening starseeds, let's say people that were going down this journey, like my group, this crazy journey. They might project things onto you at the beginning to scare you away, and then in your mind, oh, that naughty beaver brought this to me. It's like, no. They're trying to scare you off your path. The weak-minded are easily controlled in this world. This is my wisdom. This is my understanding and the best I can give you guys on the subject. She said the exact same thing. They just create these things to scare people so they can have lunch. What do you guys want today? Mickey D's, Burger King? White guy, black guy, yellow, little red? What's your flavor? This is the world that we live in. But the reality is it's not the body that matters, it's the soul. Low-frequency souls are easy to control. People with strong will, lots of knowledge, wisdom, powerful minds, they don't go near them because they can't control them because they are powerful beings. And how is that done? With knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the processing of information. It's as simple as that. Without any knowledge in the world, if this happened to you one time, you're just having a crap upstairs and a shadow being come in, that event just happened all over the world, and people without knowledge, instead of even researching it, that terrifies them the rest of their life. They have nightmares, and what do you think happens? That same being comes back and has McDonald's or Burger King, whatever flavor he can pull out of you. Ketchup sold separately. You get my point. The universe, I don't think, is going to change for humanity. This is reality, per se. So the more you feed the demon, the more it's going to come back into your reality. That's the concept. See, all of us have probably been encountered with these things at one point or another, and they would test you, per se, going down the street and whatever it might be that you'd see in this world. If they didn't get a rise out of you, why would they ever come back? This guy, either you're too stupid or you just don't care. And that's the whole idea. Subconsciously, you were just smarter than what was playing with you, so to speak. That's the idea. That's why I love the giggles. That's why I'm always laughing about the most heinous satanic crap, per se, because it's as real as you make it. But knowledge is power.
It could also be just beings who dwell in that realm, in the fourth D, and come to you for whatever reason. You could have had a bad day, or whenever your frequency is a bit low, alcohol and drugs and the substances like that, and the lower frequencies, they are like a glue. They are like a glue for these parasites, because that's basically what they are. So Svaru told us that it's very important to confront them. First of all, to confront them, not to have fear. I know it's not easy sometimes in that moment not to have fear. No, I haven't had an experience like this myself ever, so maybe it's easier to say, I understand, I admit that, I acknowledge that, but at least knowing that you have the power, that you are stronger than them, and now, very important, that whatever you imagine as protection for yourself is going to be real to them. So
you see, you're the more powerful consciousness. We're on Earth playing in the Matrix. If you realize you're the divine and you own that, you're of a higher order of heaven than they are. So your belief overrides their belief. They don't know the difference. So if they come down and say, oh, look, I'm the boogeyman, and you go, oh my God, there's a boogeyman, you've made them the boogeyman. They have the power. And this is important because all the various faiths in this world express this in different manners. So I'll show you on this channel. Again, you'll see a lot of the Christians will come out and they'll have their little chance, per se, with Jesus, and that protects them in their mind, and it works just fine. So I'm never ever telling anybody to change that type of a concept. I was reviewing this video and I stopped right here and I had to cut it. I said, I can't bite my tongue on this anymore about something. In this world, all the people that have this belief and understanding, they say, in the name of Jesus, I banish thee, or what have you, okay? The problem is, the letter J wasn't invented until the 1600s. This is a fact. So, whoever that Jesus guy is, he never existed. If you believe it holds the same meaning, that's great. And others say, well, it's Yeshua. But the problem is, if you think Yeshua was Jesus, according to Ra, you're still mistaken. And this is what I've shown you guys before, and I'm going to bring it up again. This is talking about Moses and how Yahweh was communicating with the earth and where the language of the Hebrew came from. It was programmed into their DNA. This is what he told them. It's literally written into your blood. And after so many manifestations or people having children, the language comes out of the people. But we think, it's accidental. There's nothing accidental on Earth. It's all programmed into us, including our future incarnations, what we'll evolve into. This is the power of DNA, but I'm going to make a point. There were two other techniques used, one by the entity no longer called Yahweh, which means Yahweh is a member of the Confederation, not God. There's nothing debasing about it. This is his truth. He came here and he cloned humans. Master geneticist, yes. Source of all creation, no. on that note, who still felt that if it could raise up entities which were superior to the negative forces, that these superior entities could spread the law of one. Thus, this entity, Yod, He, Shin, Vau, He, came among your people in form according to incarnate being and mated in the normal reproductive manner of your physical complex, thus birthing a generation of much larger beings, these beings called Anak. When you see these letters, say the capital letters out loud. Yeshua. Oh God, Yeshua. When everybody says in the name of Jesus, in the name of Yeshua, you need to know the context because these words are used in banishing rituals according to him. So in the context of Yeshua, in the name of Yahweh, I ban thee, is what he's saying. Jesus, according to him, his real name was Jehoshua, but the letter J wasn't invented, so it's Yehoshua. So this is Yeshua. This is the funniest part that I was trying to show you guys. All explained in the law of one. These are the names that the world knows. Yeshua. Jesus was Yahoshua. Yehovah. You have got to be kidding me. Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yehovah. So get your facts right, people. For your banishing rituals, I'm just pointing it out to the world. So in the name of YHHSVH, if you're looking to Jesus, Yehoshua, this is what I did through the law of one with my work, believe it or not. Yeh. And as far as I understand, a standalone H is Ha. Yehovah, Ho, Yehoshua, Yehovah. So that's where I get the extra H from. I couldn't believe it. It's like, did everybody just screw up the name of God here and fight and kill? It's very likely, but according to Rod, this figure doesn't exist. He never brings them up. Inside, there's only Yeshua and Yehoshua. And I could see how the world could easily confuse the two. Just putting it in there if that matters to you guys, because these symbols, according to Rod, these sounds and pronunciations, they do have meaning and spiritual meaning. We have included Shin in the banishing ritual, Yod He Vau He, to make it Yod He Shin Vau He. Is this helpful? So he gives them the name of Jehovah. See her Yahweh. It's so bad against, like, but I really like it. It's like, this makes more sense than anything I've ever heard. So when you pronounce the letters Yod He Shin Vau He, if Yahweh programmed them into the very blood of humanity back in time, to his purpose and meaning, maybe he knew the world would need this in a future time. So if you want to banish, I'm just saying, do it right. But when you have knowledge of what it is, it also helps the ordeal. It doesn't matter what you say or what you believe. It's what you believe, and what you believe is more important than what they're trying to make you believe. Ah, my demon, no you're not. Well, have a nice day, and they leave, and that's the idea. It's probably easier said than done. I get that in this world, and it's probably why she said that as well. I kind of been telling the world this is the most important period in human history, regardless of how it plays out. Knowledge will get you through these times just fine.
Baru has insisted on, for example, imagining yourself, I know, typical exercise, but it works, imagining that you are turning the inner light on, but it shines so brightly that it fills the whole room and it comes out of the windows. And just imagine that with the full power that you have, and you do.
Right there. I do this all the time. I protect myself, my home, my county, my province, my country, my continent, my earth. I manifest in my mind this powerful, pure white light out of your heart, if you will, and just in your mind, in the dark at 4 o'clock in the morning is when I do it. Never give up your soul to the night. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Many people sleep in the day and work in the night. Those are the most protected people because they never give up the soul to the darkness. When you sleep in the day, the sun is out. Right, you are the light in the dark. And that was inside the Emerald Tablets, believe it or not, on that subject. Knowing all that, it's a great exercise. 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, sitting in a basement, meditating in bed. Try and close your eyes and manifest the pure white light around you. Whether you see it or whether you don't, doesn't matter. What the universe or these demons believe about it is exactly what you're putting out there. So it's right out of some Harry Potter time. That's what magic is in a nutshell. It's who can make who believe the truth. Who's the more powerful being? My truth or your truth, if you will. And that's how it works. That's the game. If you know all these different steps, you're truly ahead of the game. Why I bring this all up is because of the vision that I had of this third temple. What the world might witness is going to be all inside of their heads. I saw it manifested of nowhere. All the houses are flattened. They're gone. They turned to stone. I said, how is this possible? But I saw it manifesting on the spot. Little square, one square at a time. But it's like a 2 square mile square manifesting out of nowhere. It just dawned on me, you know, in biblical terms, that's kind of like one of the devil's tricks per se. Yeah, it's as real as everything else you think you know on this earth. If that begins to make sense, these are the only guiding lights I can offer should this come to be. I don't see how it's possible that it wouldn't, to be quite honest. All things are possible, I get it. But so I may as well prepare for the impossible, at least throw it out there in this world. I'm sure half the planet come running to my channel if this came to be. Holy Christ, what's going on? But this is naughty beaverism at its finest. This is the best I can offer the world. This is not going away. Why would he draw these? Why would he draw this great test? Why would he leave all these signs and symbols if it wasn't meant to be, you know, pretty much guaranteed going to happen type of thing in this? Why would he put all this here? As he was leaving a guide through the ages, I believe, just to say, look, this is what I see. Look to the sign of the sun for the Savior. You get it now? So when I fought and exposed Gregory Hallett as a usurper, and I want to remind you guys, just to end this segment here, this is Philip. He died. It's a few days ago. This was him inside the image that I was referring to. I was waiting for him to die. Why that matters is he was in line to be king. He never became king. He died at 99. Gregory Hallett, I spoke my piece in this world, and I told you he'd be denied kingship. I'm just the guy that pointed it out. No socks, no shoes, no trousers. There's your 4 horses of the apocalypse that he showed you, all on my channel. So one king died, one usurper put down, and he's vanished as far as I know. The Pope is going to die. Right here I had to cut in about something, and I want to include a little piece in this video when I was reviewing it. Some still in this world can't fathom anything, but I'm going to sum it all up with this video from Dr. Taylor Marshall. I only need a few seconds of it to explain something. Christians of the world are finally beginning to wake up to something, and it's joyous for me to see. And the path that they're on, and many attack very subtle on the surface things. Naughty Beaver is a decade ahead of them and vastly more down the rabbit hole, but everybody's at a different level in this world. So I always just sit back and watch to see what the world says. It's all based on our beliefs in this world. Many object to many of the things that the Pope are doing, and they're very superficial. Why did he turn left on Tuesday? That's the holy day. That's the problem. It's like, I'm happy for you. I'm rejoicing that you might see an issue. If you guys have watched this video tonight with even the slightest comprehension of the scale of what could be dropped on the world, you see how the world needs help. Does that begin to make sense, perhaps? Is this beginning to shine a little light on the Starseed movement, on the greatest scheme of things? I don't expect you to believe anything I ever say. I present these videos as my truth. I don't sugarcoat them, and I wouldn't show them to you if I didn't believe them to be possible. I have an inner calling and guidance, and so on and so on. I fought for 4 years to come to this very particular moment, or 5, I guess it's been now. I gathered such a tiny, tiny following, and much of which never watches my videos. You see that I have, whatever, 50-some thousand subscribers and 10,000 views, and I don't blame anybody on earth. But knowing all of that, I just want to make a point with this video about something.
Pope Francis has joined with Lynn Rothschild to assemble guardians of the new inclusive economy, inclusive capitalism.
Who did it? The deep cabal in control of the United States and that own the United States of America Corporation. This is very important because many people don't know that the U.S. is a corporation founded in 1871, meaning that people and their possessions are their assets as a corporation and industry. Because of the BRICS Treaty, the economic side involving China, Russia, Brazil, India, and South Africa, that is hurting the petrodollar, the ones that were taking all the industry to China for profit, the U.S. corporation lost a lot of money in the trillions of dollars. This because of bad banking and false money based on nothing, not gold, as it is officially stated. You know, the Rockefellers and the Rothschild. All those Western bankers who own everything. Centralized in banks like Chase Manhattan and the City of London. This then connects to English royalty and to the Vatican. So that faction in control of the United States of America Corporation lost over the last 3 decades a huge amount of money, creating the monetary reset problem and imminent threat to humanity. So these psychopaths, as confirmed by my sources, all without knowing each other, say that the United States Corporation went totally bankrupt February 16th, 2020.
Who do you think heads the United States of America Corporation? Who do you think launched the virus? When they went broke, what do you think Plan B is? The virus and a new council for inclusive capitalism. Our other system didn't work. Do you guys understand what I just told you tonight and the possibilities and the great sign in heaven and all the work that I've done? And the head of Christianity joins the worst usurers on the entire planet together for the new inclusive capitalism council. When the Vatican is destroyed as prophecy foretells, this is why. I'm not even a Christian, guys. I'm not even a Christian. It's not that I don't love Jesus. I was born and bred and brought to this world, lock, stock, and barrel, and fulfilled a calling that I never thought possible. But to sum it all up, if anybody in this world wants to know how the Pope could betray the world and why he might find them dead and the Vatican destroyed, I'm just trying to show you the simplest of videos on the earth. And when you do all the rabbit hole research, inevitably in the future, depending how these timelines go, you would see just how messed up this world is. All these things going on. The arrival of Lucifer, potentially, the great sign has come and gone, and you're worried about capitalism? Is he not the one that's supposed to guide the flock until, Jesus comes and everybody goes to heaven? Whatever promises they slipped into the Bible. So on one side of the equation, you have the starsuits of the earth all over. Millions and millions and millions that came to earth for this time. I'm just trying to show the world before they ever judge me again, the head of your church is your betrayer. In a future time when we come to that revelation, this is why your church fell. This is only the beginning and the tip of the iceberg. Aliens are here, Lucifer is coming. If Jesus had it handled, Naughty Beaver wouldn't be here. This is the meaning behind all of this. This world was going to be destroyed, betrayed, crushed in horrible, horrible ways. And just to prove the point, in these times, the preachers are all on television telling my mother to kiss her ass goodbye, but the head of her church is worried about inclusive capitalism. What kind of a psychopath could ever read a Bible, know what they know, believe what they believe in this world, and get attached to earthly possessions? That is the complete opposite and inverse of Christianity and what it stands for those that truly read the Bible and understand the deeper meaning of rejecting this world. This is what Peter's cross is. It's the negative, the inverse of Christianity, the dark side. Everything against ascension, going to heaven, salvation, whatever earthly attachments. And he brings the worst usurers in the entire world right into the head of the church. That's the offense, that's the betrayal, that's the destruction. In that time, I'm the one that's not even the Christian telling you to prepare for Lucifer. You guys see how messed up this is? You guys understand why I go crazy in this world, but I understand inside why I had to do it. This is the deepest meaning behind Naughty Beaver if I was going to put a finger on it. All of this from a picture. If you understand Christianity's true form, and realizing, regardless of what you believe about this earth, throw it away. Seek out God. Nothing matters. It's all inside the law of one in the exact same way. I can tell you stories, he said, till the end of time. None of it matters. All this alien stuff, nothing compares to the love and delight of the infinite creator. There is nothing on this earth worth fighting over. If you spend your life seeking God, it's the only true treasure in the universe. Very, very loving, wonderful passages. And here the Pope's going to get everybody focused on money. Only with knowledge could you ever come to my level in understanding, because of the fact that all of the virus is tied to this organization in the first place because they went bankrupt. And when they went bankrupt, they had to cover it. And guess what? They're calling for a great reset. So, for every Christian preacher in this world that's trying to brainwash people into believing that God sent the virus, compared to what I know and understand, this is the problem in this world. Keep them stupid, keep them blind, keep them ignorant, bind them in darkness. I never judge anybody anymore in this world. This is the stage long gone by. And all I can do is look at the world around me and see its level of awareness and just hope that we have more time. I hope that I'm wrong about everything. I hope this invasion is stopped and doesn't come. You gotta imagine, guys, if the world was destroyed in a nuclear apocalypse that's been prophesied, you gotta imagine if there's an alien invasion coming, no matter how much help we have from on high, humanity's getting in the middle of it. As in the militaries and what they're gonna start flinging on this planet. Gotta imagine, it's right out of Hollywood. They have advanced weaponry. The Earth, to some degree, is prepared for this, but this was the fight that the ancients were talking about coming. This is the problem. On the ground, I don't have laser beams to kill, whatever. So best you have in the world is God as your ally, and that's all you need. If that had come out of the Pope in these times, Naughty Beaver would not exist on this earth. I cannot believe I'm having this conversation. But I hope you guys see my heart and soul here, and realizing it's never been about me. It's about a mission and a purpose and a calling, and I'm not alone. And we are all here for this time because the universe saw it coming. There was no savior the way you understand. And that was the problem with the law of one. He said, well, will Jesus return? He said he does, but only as a member of the Confederation. What does that mean? He's not setting foot on the earth. That was the concept that he was talking about. Jesus has done his time, that figure. He's always here in spirit or whatever realm that he's in. That was what they were meaning. So in essence, this is our world in our fight. And this is going to be my upcoming videos explaining something from many, many different sources now, explaining where the world is. Where are we? The world's going to have to grow up.
I see a great famine drawing near. Often returns, then becomes universal. So great and long, they are plucking roots from the ground and children from the breast.
The world is about to fall into starvation and a horrifying future. And there's only so much that they can do, and I'll keep that out of this, but I want to play just a few seconds of this.
Calling it. I find it alarming. We've basically seen the Pope partnership with the Rothschild. This Lynn Rothschild, I'll explain her in just a moment. She's a dear friend to Hillary Clinton, and she's the third wife of Evelyn Rothschild, who is the heir of the English Rothschild branch and is the financial advisor to Queen Elizabeth of England. Pope Francis and Lynn Rothschild have assembled a dream team of major economic leaders, CEOs. We're talking about the CEOs and leaders of MasterCard, Visa, both usurers, Bank of America, CalPERS, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, British Petroleum, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and on and on. I'm going to share who these people are.
In this world, like this guy is a Christian, a devout Christian, if you will. He doesn't have the mind of naughty Beaver. In a million years, he could never see the evils of this world the way that I do. This is what I'm here for, because I can. Does that make me unrighteous or good help? You guys understand? They still have the compassion in this world. They still have that non-judgmental type of thing. And this is a quality that would be wonderful in all human beings if we were all human. But we're being overrun by aliens. This is what this world has been preying on, is the innocent minds. You guys see? I only have compassion in this world. He sees it, don't get me wrong. This is an incredibly powerful video. He gets the point. But what separates Naughty Beaver is the fact that I had a calling to do this. I have the world's greatest seer. And nothing that he has foretold has been wrong at this point in time. And that was what was important to me. Because the Bible is the Bible. Nostradamus told the future. So I have to do something here. It was such a horrifying journey to go down, the thought of getting into the middle of the religions, but I hope that perhaps it might pay dividends. It terrifies me the thought of this possibly coming to be. The world is going to be decimated. 2/3 of the world will perish in a week. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I sure as hell am not saying it's not. All of this taking place in the world, and the Pope's just worried about money. Because they went broke and they created the thing.
But what the Pope is calling for and what Lynn Rothschild's calling for is a reset. We've been using this language a lot. It's their language. It's not ours. A great reset.
See? They went bankrupt on February 16th, and 10 months later they were calling for a great reset across the world. Who else in the world do you think orchestrated it all, if not the cabal? The key problem here is the much more evils on this world than meets the eye. This figure is the Antichrist figure. It's the Pindar, or the penis of the dragon. It's always walked the earth, and according to Nostradamus, since the time of Jesus. It's been trapped here with humanity, and it's part of this scenario. The best knowledge in the world, and all fingers point at one of the Rothschild family. It's an eternal being. It can take the shape of anything on earth, and literally anything. A table, a chair, Jesus, God, whatever your flavor, because it's a shapeshifter, and this is him doing it to the Pope. That's Eugenio Pacelli. It was the mastermind of World War II. This is only one evil. This is what got Hitler to have the war, is what I'm telling you. So a Rothschild can be the Pope, yes. A Rothschild could be Donald Trump. A Rothschild could be this guy, if those are the figures, because the most common consensus in the world of the Pindar is a Rothschild. Eyewitness testimonies, men, women. It's just something in that family, and coincidentally among the richest and most powerful in the entire world. Gee, I don't see a connection. So inside of here, to have real power, as Max Spears has said, you will never be seen on television. Now the wife of somebody, the granddaughter making a little promo for TV, that you can see. To have real power, you must remain unseen. When you go into here and see what they say, you know, they're all love and light, and we gotta protect the planet. I'm not even gonna play it. That's the end of that segment. If you haven't watched this, check it out. This is all you gotta type on YouTube or whatever to go find it. I look at the world around me to see where my allies lie and what the level of awareness is in the world. I'm just telling you, I'm a decade ahead of the game. I have a calling, I get visions, so on and so on. I have precognition. It's a gift of seeing things ahead of time on occasion. When I get a picture, it's worth 1 million YouTube videos sometimes. The universe gives me a little kick to help me out in the game, if you will. I get to see things unfold before they unfold in a way, so I have kind of a heads up, even though it's only a picture. But that's what's different about me, so I don't expect anybody to be the same. I just see the world through different eyes. The final president of the earth is here. Do you guys perhaps see a divine plan taking place, and the theme being make way for the king? That's what I got from all of this. So these are the last years, the last chapter type of thing. And in that time, there's a power vacuum per se in a game or whatever the gods are going to get up to on this world. This is what I believe is the last great challenge. As all the knowledge that I have poured into a 2-minute summary, I can basically just show you a picture. One of these kings of the earth is going to be put down dead. This is a demigod dead on a mountain. So which one is it going to be? Is God going to kill the child of Revelation 12? Okay, it should be pretty self-evident. One will rule, one will die. This is the best I can show the world. So, that's it. Now, on that note, maybe nothing will happen. Maybe this isn't the year. Maybe it is.
Who have it, and with that they go away. They simply go away. They are not able to dwell and to maintain their existence in the light. Here I ask her.
See, they don't have souls, and if you have a soul, you are the divine. So negative creations, they need to sustain themselves on things with souls, something from the light, but negative. If you shine your light onto negative entities, they disappear into nothingness. You've killed them with the light of creation, if you will, because you have a soul. If you live in fear, your soul generates negative energy. It's all energy. Live in the light, in the positive, they can't feed off you, so you have to cut off their food source. This is the only thing this world has ever had to know from the beginning in terms of the energy game, but even this message would take 1,000 years to break through to the minds of this planet. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. There are many, many different ways, but know the basic truth. They have no souls. They need negative energy. So if you don't share your bread with your little sister, that's a negative type of thing. You see, if you're selfish and greedy, that's a negative type of thing. In the Christian world, they call everything a sin. But in the universe's eyes, it can be weighed in terms of positive or negative. Right and wrong, left and right. That's the concept. If you have a soul, and what you see you know doesn't have a soul, don't feed it. It can't exist. It can't sustain itself. So if it's being projected by another being that doesn't have a soul, it's costing them energy. They're not going to waste their time chasing you down. If they don't get energy, they're losing energy. I'd love them to come toy with the Beaver because they'd all be dead. And they'd be so pissed off. Be telling him jokes. You get my point?
Hey, what do you mean turn the light on? Metaphorically or really? Like turn the light on? And she said both. Yes, sometimes even turning the light on in a room physically might help. However,
candles are the natural light and light bulbs are the synthetic light. That's probably the deeper meaning behind church candles, if you would. Inside the Law of One channelings, he told her to have a candle lit all the time. If I can pull it up for you, if I'm not mistaken. Carla Ruckert pictures. There it is right there. To have the Bible open to the passage. This is her. This is the woman that did all the channeling with the Law of One. Everything described in it, this is what you were witnessing here. A censer with a certain type of things burning inside of it, the Bible open to a very specific passage, a certain type of candle with a certain type of flame. And that gave her a pure channel to speak into the fifth density or higher. So the archons of the fourth density, that was kryptonite to them. The light of creation, if you will, but out of a certain type of candle. The world got all this information probably from Rod in age long gone by. We knew this at one time, but everything was twisted and tortured. The meaning behind it all, and so on. There's still some base truths in this world. So this type of person, in my opinion, given the quality of the Law of One channelings, did channeling properly. But how many channelers on the earth prepare themselves before they channel? This is what wards off the spirits of the fourth density. So it opens a light pathway that they can't touch. Anybody else that doesn't follow this type of phenomena, the beings in the fourth density can just get into their minds while they channel. They have no protection. So it's all through it. It's in all the image. This is in everyone. You see the candle burnt down? That's how much their channeling sessions would be. See, so there's method to the madness. So Ra has been here forever. Billion-year-old being. He knows everything about the Bible. He knows everything about the figures that have walked the earth because he's always been watching. But there are certain things. And he refers to the book of John, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he wants open at the time. There's a certain passage there that he knows is the pure truth, like a divinely inspired passage or something like that. Other things, if you have that particular segment of the Bible open, it's negative and leaves you open to attack because it's not the truth. That's how he worded it. Get your head around that. So I'll ask the question again, how many of these channelers are following these types of process and procedure per se, and very few, and then they end up getting into problems. Okay? That's the best I can show the world on the side. I'm not judging anybody whatsoever. This is the guy's message changed up inside of here. It's exactly when I was expecting to see such a thing and hoping it never came. But in this world, with everything, when you come into the world with the gift of channeling, this is your life plan. These people don't exist by accident. But they need to be aware that there's more information out there to help them and guide them on their journey, and thus the I Am discourses might inspire a few of these channelers to take better care of themselves. You have the gift of channeling. It's all over the world. This is how the Bible was created. They're not talking to God, nor was Moses or anybody else in this world. It's always been channeled into the earth. So I'll see the last of what he says here.
Use this technique. It's really amazing, I think. And here is the session, after which I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to explain to you the 3 things that I have never told you before about how I channel, and also I will tell you about the equipments which I use to channel and use to record, so that you will have a better understanding. I will tell you about how to use love light energies before the channeling session. I always use this process.
So there you go. He does know how to protect himself. There's others that I see, they just blurt stuff up, walking down the street all the time. And when you see the message, you're like, it's half light and half darkness, half truth, half wrong. But it's good to see from my perspective looking at this. He at least has an awareness of it. That's the curse of this world. It's said over and over in the Law of One. She would keep asking him, how do I protect, this is her, how do I protect from this and that? How do I stop these attacks? Because she was a very frail woman. It's not, the meatiest thing out there on the planet, very spiritual, if you will. But he said, it never stops until the end of time. You have 2 choices in this world. You are for the light or you could live in the darkness. So anyone on earth that fights for the light will have to suffer attack until the end of time. Doesn't matter what reality, what dimension, it never ends in the universe. There's a time of war, a time of peace, and we're getting into the time of the end of the world here, but you get my point. You either want to fight this fight or you can live in ignorance. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, but he said that over and over in the channelings. How can I stop these negative entity attacks? You cannot. Not till the end of time. You can become master of light, and that's what Earth is in a nutshell. It's a bit of a stepping stone in the evolution game. But that's the best I can show the world on the subject. The end. I love you lots, guys. That's as far as I want to take this show on very personal information. But, well, what the hell? Let's see what happens. I haven't heard anything from Gosha on this subject. I see she just posted, I think, a video here when I was coming on. Okay, reincarnation loops. There's a lot of things I think the human race is better off not knowing. But because of the nature of Naughty Beaver, these are subjects that I'm going to continue to watch. I told you guys out of my own mouth, I was opening a window here. When this is going to happen, I believe was the window between X and May, but I can't tell you the year. So to say if it doesn't happen this year in the next couple of weeks, I'm tied until my death to this event. This is what I believe. If it takes 3.5 years to go through the gates of hell, this could very possibly happen on the very final year in 2024 in May. Why I say this, I've already explained on this channel. So I said my commitment to God was 7 years from the great sign in heaven. I'm not going to shy away from it.
When the great number 7 is complete, appearing at the time of the Olympic Games, not long past the millennium, then the buried come out from their graves.
And when I look at a simple, unbelievable channeling session about all of it, it just all drops into place. This is the concept, this is how it could be done, but I'll remind the world again, it's all alien. It's nothing like what we were taught. You gotta realize this Alpha Draconians, in my understanding, the king of the reptiles, the species, they are higher density beings per se, and that's exactly what it said in the channeling. The Draconians are just calling upon a higher species to fight for them or something like that. And this is what the Earth does. We're humans calling on Jesus to fight, that type of thing. This is the energy war that you're never going to see. This is the spiritual battle. And I'll end my show with a prophecy from Nostradamus that might explain it. I love you lots. Naughty Beaver out. Take care.
Beside the young one, the old angel bows and comes to overcome him in the end. 10 years equal to make the old one stoop. Of 3, 2, 1, the 8th seraphim